an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. So let's go ahead and get it started today. Everyone could push like as the video starts to spread. Here we are, opening with a poem as usual by Charles Bukowski. A nice day. The virus holds. The concepts give away like rotten shoelaces. Toothache and bacon dance on the lawn. I open a drawer to dirty stockings. A stockbroker's universe. Steel balls flutter like butterflies. I can feel doom like something under the sheets with bristles that stinks and moves towards me. The mailman is insane and hands me a bag full of snails, eaten inside out by some rat of decay. In the madhouse, a man kisses the walls and dreams of sailboating down some cool Nile. I read about the bullfights, the ball games, the boxing matches. Things continue to fight, and in the churches they play at parlor games and peek at legs. I go outside to absolutely nothing. A square round of orange zero headpieces over obscene mouths that form at me like suckerfish. Good morning. Nice day, isn't it? A fat woman says. I am unable to answer, and down the sidewalk I go, shamed, unable to tell her of the knife inside me. I do notice, though, the sun is shining, that the flowers are pulled up on their strings, and I on mine. Belly button, buttocks, Bukowski, waving, walking, teeth of ice with a taste of tar, tear ducts, propagandized, shoes acting like shoes. I arrive on time, in the blazing midday of the morning. Charles Bukowski from Burning in Water, Drowning in Flame. Special request today, challenge. See if we can do it here. Nice and slow. Jabberwocky, 'twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the maxim foe he sought, so rested by the tum-tum tree, and stood awhile in thought. And, as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1-2, 1-2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumping back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O Frabius day, Callooh, Calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Ha, 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 there you go. Jabberwocky, bam, piece of cake. I even have the section marked right here where they explain it. If you can actually believe that. They talk about, well, that's enough to begin with, Humpty Dumpty interrupted. There are plenty of hard words here. Brillig means 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the time when you begin broiling things for dinner. That'll do very well, said Alice. And slithy? Well, slithy means lithe and slimy. Lithe is the same as active. You see, it's a portmanteau. There are 2 meanings packed up in one word. I see it now, Alice remarked thoughtfully. And what are toves? Well, toves are something like badgers. They're something like lizards. And they're something like corkscrews. They must be very curious-looking creatures. They are that, said Humpty Dumpty. Also, they make their nests under sundials, and they live on cheese. picture. There you go. They make their nests under sundials, and they live on cheese. Okay. And what's to gyre and gimbal? To gyre is to go round and round like a gyroscope. To gimbal is to make holes like a gimblet. And the wabe is the grass plot round a sundial, I suppose, said Alice, surprised at her own ingenuity. Of course it is. It's called a wabe, you know, because it goes a long way before it, and a long way behind it, and a long way beyond it on each side, Alice said. Exactly so. Well then, mimsy is flimsy and miserable. There's another portmanteau for you. And a borough is a thin, shabby-looking bird with its feathers sticking out all around, something like a live mop. And what then of mome rats? I'm afraid I'm giving you a great deal of trouble. Well, a rath is a sort of green pig, but mome I'm not certain about. I think it's short from home, meaning that they've lost their way, you know. And what does outgrabe mean? Well, outgribbing is something between bellowing and whistling, a kind of sneeze in the middle. However, you'll hear it done maybe down in the wood yonder, and once you've heard it, you'll be quite content. Who's been repeating all that hard stuff for you? So there you go, Alice in Wonderland. The Jabberwocky, a challenge by request. Got a stack of other books here, but we should probably just get started. On the news, it's another exciting Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is The Thomas Hunt Show. Reminding you to give us a thumbs up and a share down below. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. We do these shows most every day, and sometimes we start early. Shout out to the Tiger King documentary, to Norm who recommended it, everyone else who recommended it, the rest of the internet for loving this documentary. I finally finished it yesterday. I don't want to give anything away. I think it's a roller coaster ride from start to finish. You'll never expect what these maniacs are up to with the big cats. President's son, Trump Jr., watched this show in 2 sittings. He said he loved it. His big takeaway, you could get a tiger for only $2,000, which was not really the message or moral of the show, but just interesting program. I hope we can talk about it more. I want to give everyone a chance to watch it before we talk spoilers or anything like that. So check out Tiger King. Very distracting. Certainly not, it's not educational, but it's fun. The price of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, now easier to read thanks to this little pop-out box here on bitcoinal.com. The price of Bitcoin is up 2.37% in the last 24 hours, with a high of 7,454, a low of 7,096, and a last of 7,335. That's $1 for 13,633 Satoshis. Dollar seems to be going down against the Satoshi. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is open and up. The Dow Jones is up 2.87% so far, with a last of 23,330, above a previous close of 22,679. Keep in mind the Dow Jones also went up around 5% yesterday as well. The coronavirus cases worldwide, previously around 1.3 million, around 71,000 dead, refreshing for today's case. 1.379 million and 40 infected, and 78,114 dead worldwide coronavirus. Stay the fuck home. It's a good idea. You don't spread the virus to other people. You don't get the virus yourself. You just stay home. We're going to have to do this a lot longer than they're telling you. Wear a fucking mask. If you have to go outside, if you have to go to the store, if you have to go to work, wear a mask. Even a cloth mask will do. It used to be just Balaji. It used to be just us and the other tech maniacs telling you that obviously A barrier in front of your mouth is better than no barrier in front of your mouth. It's just that simple. So obviously it would be great to have a better mask, but if you don't have a better mask, wear a t-shirt, wear a bandana, wear a scarf, wear a fucking mask. Like these guys. Here's the 1918 pandemic. Check out these police officers. You were actually required to wear a mask outdoors in San Francisco. Wearing a mask stops the spread of disease. If you have the disease and you cough, it goes into the mask. If someone else has the disease and they cough on you, it goes into the mask. Sure, it's not foolproof. It's not 100%, but it's more than zero. Like this show. YouTube counts shows by how many likes they get. So be sure to like this show. Subscribe down below. Ask your friends to subscribe. Ask your friends to like this show. Maybe ask people on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or Pinterest or wherever you hang out to like this show. Thanks so much. Coronavirus cases in the United States, previously around 339,000 infected, around 9,600 dead. Here's the refresh. That go down. 377,499 infected in the United States, climbing towards 400,000. 11,781 dead. Peer-to-peer crypto exchange Paxful now lets you trade Bitcoin for gold in CoinDesk, as if it's breaking news. And also in Cointelegraph, Paxful launches peer-to-peer trading between gold and Bitcoin. But, of course, we all know you can already trade gold and Bitcoin at Vaultoro. V-A-U-L-T, Oro, Vault Oro. That's Spanish for gold. So check out Vaultoro. My friend Josh has been running this thing for years. It's really strange, as if it were some kind of marketing campaign when someone else launches a new feature and suddenly the people who write the articles forget about companies that have been in this space since 2015. So remember things. Remember the past. Go with the original companies. Don't just go with this advertising thing they're doing. Ethereum creator picks 2 worst bear and bull predictions ever made. Okay, why? And who cares? All right, so he picks John McAfee, predicting that the Bitcoin price would be, originally he said 500,000 by the end of 2020. He now predicts that the price will be 1 million by the end of 2020, and he will still eat his dick if he is wrong. Although recently he's been saying the prediction was just a ruse to onboard new users, and that Bitcoin is not the future of crypto, calling the currency worthless last week. So, all right. Great pick, Vitalik. And as the most inaccurate Bitcoin prediction, Vitalik picked Nouriel Roubini in February 2018 when Bitcoin was hitting new lows, collapsing from 7,000 from 20,000. He said that Bitcoin was on its way to zero. He said all the way down to zero while scammers dump and run. As of October 2018, he argued that 99% of all cryptocurrencies are worth nothing. So that's great. My pick would obviously be CryptoKitties. That was the greatest prediction in Bitcoin Ethereum history. Speaking of CryptoKitties, Ethereum rallies 20% but fails to surpass 100-day SMA. So the Ethereum price is jumping, but it doesn't look like it's going to burst out of this triangle quite yet. Ethereum surges 14%. Here's 3 reasons why. It's got to be because it's got electrolytes. And electrolytes are what plants crave. It's Brondo. It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave. Up 3%, Bitcoin leaves the S&P behind in year-to-date recovery with no bailout, with no trillions of dollars, with no small business administration, nothing like Boeing, nothing like the airline industry, nothing like the cruises. Bitcoin is back. Bitcoin price floor to jump to $7,000 to $8,000 post-halving. They think $4,000 is now the absolute floor for the first ever cryptocurrency. Hi-oh! And we're starting the show. Drink. Let's see. We got 12 likes so far. That's pretty good. Checking that out. Let's see. We'll switch to the other lower third maybe. Aha, better. And quick check of the chat. How's it going? Good morning to everybody in the chat. They like Jabberwocky. They're clobbering the like button. They've got install microwave ovens and custom kitchen deliveries. The side camera is sync with audio, but the front camera is out of sync. All right, we'll look at the side camera options for later. These cameras all look similar. They might be plugged in different ways, but I'll look at that. But again, we just want to do another, let's see, first. Let's check the price of Bitcoin as it starts to drift upward, something it usually does while this show's on. Let's go ahead and get that price check here. Will the price of Bitcoin this time next week be higher, or will it be higher? That's it. Just answers yes or no questions. All right, price of Bitcoin this time next week, this special Bitcoin predictor ball. Outlook good. So there you go. Outlook good. The Bitcoin price has been predicted. Now let's start the news. Boris Johnson has been moved to intensive care after his condition worsened, Downing Street has said. It is understood that he remains conscious and that the move is a precaution in case he requires a ventilator. As you guys know, about 10 days ago, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was infected with the coronavirus. Johnson had been rather flippant about the virus, going to a hospital, shaking hands with people who had the virus, and then bragging how he went to a hospital and shook hands with people who have the virus. He claimed early on that he had a light case based upon nothing. However, as the days continued, as it does with some people, it depends on your individual condition, about 7 to 10 days into the virus, many people describe someone stomping on their chest, inability to breathe, and the reason you need a ventilator is you have water in your lungs and you're actually drowning. So to avoid this happening, they've moved the British Prime Minister to the intensive care unit. However, according to a chart that hopefully we'll show later on, it may be possible that he has as little as a 35% chance at this point. It doesn't look good. And as Trump said on his own press conference yesterday, once they put you on the ventilator, you don't often get off it. So these ventilators might just be stalling until you die machines. But who knows? Boris Johnson is in the ICU. We're keeping an eye on this story. We've also seen a lot of people who aren't fans of Boris Johnson suddenly, just accept humanity and reach out and hope that he gets better. On the other side, we've also seen people who aren't fans of Boris Johnson wishing him dead and so on and so forth. So there's definitely both opinions out there. I would side with the more humanist opinion. This is a sick human. I hope he gets better. And again, a learning opportunity for him, a learning opportunity for President Trump, just the strength and speed and seriousness of this disease. Boris Johnson, I would say relatively healthy. I believe he's 52 years old, certainly a little bit overweight, but the disease is hitting him hard. And now Trump gave another press conference. All right, let's see what we can do. John Harwood says Trump is straight up denying the legitimacy of questions about the administration's performance. That's a good look. And we are just getting started on this whole accountability issue, the missing 70 days, which is going to keep happening. Trump repeats his false claim that people are getting tested on and off planes. Just not happening. Airlines and airports have no idea what he's talking about. This is another one of those fantasies that have been invented in the United States. No one is testing anyone getting off any plane, not even a temperature check. So we are way behind other countries which do have this kind of testing, even perhaps testing people for the actual coronavirus when they get off and on the planes, which does involve slowing them down. You have to go into a kind of a quarantine, kind of a mid-level quarantine, and then if you're sniffling, if you have signs, you might go to a sick quarantine, you go to another level. No, we don't have any of that at our airports. You got to stop saying it. It's just a bad look. I don't care which side you're on this. If you say something that's simply not true, it's not helping anyone. So let's keep rolling. President Trump just asked an Asian reporter who asked a question about China if she is working for China. When she said she worked for a Hong Kong newspaper, he asked if it was owned by China. No, she told him. This was another just a wild moment in these press conferences. And if only, I'm reading that Gibson book again, William Gibson, fantastic author. And Gibson, again, is talking about different realities, kind of, right? There's these stubs, these little experiments in time where you change something and you see what would happen. And in one of the stubs, the things they changed was that the man became president instead of the woman, right? And if only we were if we were the visitors to that stub watching this as if it wasn't our world, this would be the funniest press conference ever. If only we could have that kind of, Dr. Manhattan level of detachment, right? If we could watch these press conferences with that kind of lens, because this was a movie moment. And there's tons of these bizarre movie moments happening every day in this bizarre rally press conference thing that he does. And this one right here, and maybe we have the video, maybe we'll play it, we'll see. The videos just charge people up kind of in the wrong way even. So, but maybe if we talk about it, we understand more what's happening. But yeah, he was just, it was like Red Scare-esque. He was like, are you from China? You look Chinese. Do you work for a Chinese newspaper? Is that newspaper owned by China? It was just had a strange look. And then again, also he's supposed to be fronting that there are allies and there are friends and we're to work with them. And it's just a complex relationship. Certainly there's a lot of levels to it. But yeah, it was really interesting. And then again, this testing is the only way out, right? South Korea did a lot of testing. They're okay now. They're going to have relapses until we get the vaccine, but it's testing that allows you to control the virus. President Trump says we're the federal government. We're not supposed to be standing on street corners doing testing. And again, there's different requirements for the federal government during a crisis like this. During World War II, the federal government was leading a massive war. When World War II wasn't on, we weren't leading a massive war. So, there are different types of federal government. There's different types of responses. You have to be flexible, right? Might have to get that Stern Show clip, the Stooges. It's a classic Stooges. He says, I try to think, but nothing happens. It just works all the time. Louisiana is releasing COVID-19 data that shows that African Americans account for 70% of all deaths in the state. African Americans only make up roughly 32% of the population. Interesting here, they haven't been previously releasing COVID virus statistics with race information. This new release may spark more information to be released. I would also be interested to see the socioeconomic level of the people here, that it might not just be hitting, say, African Americans, but it's actually hitting the poor, and that as things work out, that the two groups are similarly representative. However, to stoke a bunch of conspiracy theories, it's been a dream of bad people for a long time to make a bad virus. So I don't know. I hope not. Trump castigates a female reporter who asked him about testing failures. You should say, congratulations, great job, instead of being so horrid in the way you ask a question. And this is, again, he's not going to take any accountability. This is a continual battle where on one side, we've got these 70 days. And the clear response to these 70 days from multiple questions, I've watched many of these press conferences, is he says, I closed down China and no one wanted me to. And I closed down Europe, including Italy, and no one wanted me to. And I say, that's great, right? What'd you do next? And that's where the problem starts, because they don't have much else that they did. They could have said, hey, 3M, we're going to need extra masks, and they didn't. They could have ordered 3M to make extra masks back in February, back in the beginning of March, but they didn't. They could have ordered more ventilators. They could have nationalized the ventilator company. So the main cure is that we just have this 4 to 6 weeks, 70 days of inaction, while the public face was out there saying that it's a flu and it's no big deal. And the problem is we're just not 1984 yet. We don't have enough memory holes. There's no way that they can make people forget this 4 to 6 weeks, this 70 days of inaction. And there's like the classic, little line from history or whatever. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. And that's a huge image in people's minds, even if they're not interested in Roman history and things like that. Even if they don't know that the Praetorian Guard, the Roman Secret Service, also bumped off the most Roman emperors out of anyone. Even if they don't know things like that, they know that Rome burned and Nero played his fiddle, right? And that's a code for doing nothing. It's not just that Nero was a great fiddle player or that he made one of his horses a proconsul, similar to a senator, saying that the horse had more sense than the entire Senate put together. But people remember. History will remember. It's kind of like Katrina. We just did, we did nothing in Katrina. We did a heck of a job, Brownie, and then we studied it, and then we didn't really learn from it. So Trump's bragging about the tests. However, we've tested 2 million people out of 330 million. So that's really bad percentage-wise. That's not impressive. Stephen Beschloss, historian, says, that's not a briefing. That's an abuse session. As Trump attacks every reporter, especially every female reporter, who wants actual information rather than just praising his great achievements. And maybe you guys haven't checked it out yet, but there's a great Seth Rogen movie called The Interview. Almost took down Sony Studios, right? They got hacked. North Korea was very not happy. But pretty much that's what we have going on here. If you watch that video and the way that the generals treat Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il in that video, they treat him like he's a god. They worship everything he says. And that's kind of what this guy wants when he comes out there. He wants that same thing from the press. And the press instead, they anger the king and they ask him all these questions. And you see this kind of breakdown. It's like half the world is North Korea and half the world is still America. And he's trying to stomp out that American side using his anger. Again, more anger in this press conference. It was a real classic. As Yamiche Alcindor says, President Trump is now lashing out at John Karl, saying he's a third-rate reporter. Trump angrily said to him, "You will never make it." John Karl was asking about a federal investigative report that found hospitals across the country faced dire shortages of vital medical equipment. So if you ask the dictator about something that embarrasses him, something that brings up the wrong narrative, you get this angry lashing out. And again, what a disconnection from reality. This guy's obviously one of the top reporters in this country. He fought his way into that room. He's in the White House press briefing room. He's a third-rate reporter. You'll never make it. And again, it was one of those moments where the reporter almost became a human being. My response, and again, I'm not the smartest guy in the shed or whatever, but I would have told him he was a third-rate president and I would have walked out. It would have been a great scene. I would not have sat there and taken that shit. And yeah, it totally would have cost me my job, and I wouldn't have ever been to go back to the White House press briefings until there's a new president or whatever. But yeah, no, I wouldn't have sat there and taken it. So you got to... John Karl has a lot of self-control. He looked very shocked. His mouth was open. Maybe we'll play the clip if I have the clip. Trump says we're doing the best in the world on testing. 10 minutes later, he says we're the federal government. We don't do testing. That's up to the hospitals. That's up to the states. So again, this kind of schizophrenic, dementia, Alzheimer's kind of back and forth. Usually they don't really want to put him on display. They kept him out of the limelight, but he loves these press conferences, these mini rallies so much that they can't keep him away. Donald Trump's treatment of Jonathan Karl is predictably disgraceful. Why is anyone carrying this farce live? Asks Joe Scarborough from MSNBC. And it's funny that he would ask that because, of course, during the campaign, the Morning Joe show had Trump on as a guest, even allowing him to call in, something that they don't let anyone else do. And many times they joked and they laughed and and it's the same reason. It's the same reason the media was covering his rallies and they later apologized for it. And it's the same reason they can't stop covering these things, even as MSNBC tries to cut away and tries to insert some other content, kind of bring the level up, right? It's just a train wreck. It's just a mad, crazy farce, similar to Howard Stern's show. You have no idea what he'll say next. You can't tune away. It's not information, though. It's not informative. So looks like people are starting to break down, giving up the politics news. They just can't stand it. Maybe we'll have just another palate cleanser here for a second. Here's a watch that I got in the airport in Prague. It's not the world's nicest watch. It was like, 30 euros. So but what's really neat about this watch is it's actually a mechanical watch. So it has those little gears and such on the back. You can kind of see if it focused right. And if I turn this thing just a little bit, let's see if it's working today. Oh, it must be stopped or something. Well, if you turn it and pull this thing, or that's the sets. Oh, there we go. All right, it's starting to move. So if you see just very carefully there, you can see the inside of the watch moving. You can see the little flywheel turning, and the mechanical energy that I have given it by turning the screw at the top has passed into the inner workings, and the magic of the clock is going. What's neat about this one, makes it Prague, is you see the design of the astrological clock in Prague. It's in the square there. And there it is. Fun little clock from the airport in Prague. That guy is probably out of business. There's no one is in that airport, and no one is selling anything. So there you go. Trump called him a third-rate reporter. Why doesn't the White House press corps get up and walk out? I don't know either. It's crazy. Trump lashed out, calling this person from Department of Health and Service an Obama appointee, but she actually started in 1999, which would make her a George W. Bush appointee, or maybe even go before that. I mean, a Clinton appointee. How far are we going to go back? They're all bad? I guess they're all bad. So, yeah, there he is saying the guy's a third-rate reporter. You're a disgrace. And these press conferences are a lot more like The Apprentice or some kind of reality show. Daniel Dale writes, Trump refers to a rhino governor, Republican in name only. This is the loosest of his briefing performances so far. He was really all over the map. Unleashed. One thing I felt about when I was watching it is, and again, we talked about this, and the TV talked about this and all the kind of things with the impeachment. They're like, is this a good idea? Should we really impeach him? Because what if you guys lose, right? What if we go through all this impeachment and we get to the other side and you lose? Well, what then? And they went on TV and they did all this talk about he's learned his lesson, and the impeachment, we got really close to doing it, and some Republicans even almost voted for it, and he learned his lesson. And the reality is this is truly a man unhinged. He's never been checked at anything in his whole life. He's always just barreled through any kind of barrier that was put in front of him. And now he can't be impeached. He can't be stopped. The virus means he can do anything he wants. He seems to be starting some kind of drug war in South America, and at the same time trying to block mail-in ballots here, trying to block the election generally. And the impeachment now has left him unhinged. It's let him completely free. He's completely unfettered. You have to look at a person with no controls at all. The entire world, nothing can stop. He can say anything about anything. It doesn't matter. This is a powerful chart. This is the time we're going to spend inside. So everyone's talking about, we're going to spend a month inside. We're going to spend 2 months inside. Here's what's actually going to happen. We're probably right about here before the first curve, if you can see my mouse. Then we're going to go over the hump. We're going to go all the way down. Everyone's going to be like, oh, great, it's gone. Let's go outside again. Bah, 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 bah. And they're all going to rush back out, go outside. Then suddenly someone's going to infect a bunch of people. Whoop, right back up. which means that we're probably going to have a second lockdown, right? Then we're going to get through it. Hopefully the hospitals will have increased capacity like it says in the chart. Then back down. Everything's fine. Let's go outside again. Oop, somebody got sick. Another lockdown. So I think we're going to continue to go through smaller and smaller breakouts until the vaccine's developed. So if you really want to understand this, you have to understand this. Maybe even similar to the Bitcoin chart or other things we've been looking at that do this kind of action where it gets really big, then it gets small, then it comes back. Big, small, comes back. So just get ready. You have the option to be prepared. And here's a great flowers from Diedrich Bader. I'll bet I could get 2 chicks if I had $1 million. I could get 2 chicks at the same time. Fella like me with $1 million. So there's the actor Diedrich Bader. Some roses in his garden to distract you from reality. Everything is fine. Turret Meester writes, it's scary how unpredictable COVID-19 is. It seems like you can have mild symptoms one day, yet need the ICU the next. So that's what happened to Prime Minister. Here's the chart of Boris Johnson showing, as Tur says, he may have a 35% chance of recovery. That's not a good chance. Let's work through this. Typical progress of COVID-19. As you can see here, here's a point of infection. The incubation period is about 5 days or 2 to 12 days. You can infect others 1 to 2 days before symptoms and soon after infection. So this right here is the worst point. You don't know that you have it and you're out there infecting other people. Now, 50% of people, at least according to this chart, have no symptoms, and 14 days after the infection, you won't infect others. So that's, again, wear a mask, stay inside. The other 50%, this is where things get worse. Again, these are just projections. These are probably not 100% accurate numbers. The symptoms are mild or moderate for 7 days. This is where 80% of people get milder symptoms for 3 to 7 days and full recovery 10 to 14 days from first symptoms. So about 2 weeks of a flu, of a virus, right? Being sick. However, 20% have to go to the hospital about 8 to 10 days from the worst symptoms. They have worsening symptoms 2 to 3 days at that point. This is where Boris Johnson went, right? Then 85% of these people have a recovery 14 days from hospitalization. So that could be 3 to 4 weeks. That could be a whole month out because of this disease. Meanwhile, 15% have to go to the ICU. This is where it gets scary. This is where Boris Johnson is right now. At this point, again, according to these statistics, very early numbers, not 100%, let's not get ridiculous, but 35% are released from the ICU and recover 7 to 14 days after that. So we're talking maybe month and a half. The amount of time with this sickness is getting more. And 65% die 5 to 30 days from hospitalization. So it's pretty serious, pretty scary. And it's not a good thing that the British PM is in here. He's a bit of a fop. He's a bit of a fool sometimes, but certainly doesn't deserve to die. And not this horrible drowning, not with your loved one's death that so many are suffering right now. Meanwhile, we have an election in Wisconsin, and the Supreme Court, as you know, the Supreme Court's going to be handing down horrible decisions for the rest of our lives. Thank you, Mitch McConnell. Thank you for not getting a vote on Garland. And thanks to Obama for not pocket appointing Garland. Ultimate cowardice. The Supreme Court is disenfranchising tens of thousands of Wisconsin voters. They're not going to allow the absentee ballots to have an extended date with the coronavirus crisis. Once again, you can guess the sides here. The Democrats are on the side of allowing more people to vote. The Republicans are on the side of allowing less people to vote. As we talked about it strategically, if you're aware of the playing field, there are more Democrats than Republicans. So if Republicans want to win, they need less people to vote. In every single one of these cases, if you check which side people are on, the Republicans are on the side of less people voting. In a 5-4 decision, The conservative majority overrides a lower court decision, giving Wisconsin voters until April 13th to send back their absentee ballots. Ruth Bader Ginsburg writes in dissent that this will mean massive disenfranchisement of tens of thousands of voters. This is not what the Supreme Court should be deciding on, but again, it's a 5-4 decision. Every time you see that, you know that it was very close, and you know that the conservatives sided together. This is pretty much it for the rest of our lifetime on the Supreme Court. Check out Dominic Frisby's incredible book on the history and future of taxes, Daylight Robbery, now on audible.com. He also wrote a fantastic book about Bitcoin. Shout out to Dominic Frisby in the UK. Trump gets a D- in the coronavirus fight, and it's fixable. So there's still a chance they could turn this around. But a D- is a tough grade to start from. Cities that went all in on social distancing in the 1918 pandemic emerged stronger for it. So again, this is one of those take the medicine, pull the Band-Aid all the way right off. The sooner you shut down, the harder you shut down, the faster you beat the virus, and the more excited and ready people are to reopen. So again, this is one of those counterintuitive things. You have to do less to do more, right? It's an Eastern thing. That's why we don't get it. You have to do less to do more. Americans are just not getting it. And we're starting to see images from Wisconsin where they've closed something like 95% of the polling places. They're down to just 5 polling places for the entire state. The lines are estimated to be at 5-hour waits to vote, something you could do easily with a form using vote by mail. The conclusion is wrong. The cotton mask decreased viral load in every patient tested, quite a bit more than the surgical mask even. And if surgical masks aren't effective for source control, that would mean every hospital has been doing medicine wrong for decades. So masks are back. Masks never should have left. Asia knows all about masks, and the West is now going to wake up too. So get used to wearing a mask. It's hard to get them online, but maybe stock up on some good masks, especially if if we ever go into one of those non-lockdown periods. I think the smart people are just going to use it as a chance to resupply. The dumb people think everything's gone back to normal. So we'll see how that goes. Here's more lines from Wisconsin. This is his normal place, but he voted absentee. Hundreds in line and a very long wait. And again, they're all risking their lives. You see some here wearing masks. Many are not wearing masks. And they're all going to stand out in line all day because there are no polling places. Weeks ago, health officials in Wisconsin urged us to limit our interactions to 5 people total. But Republicans in our state legislature and state and national courts decided that this is what should happen today in Milwaukee instead. We will not forget. She'll probably be dead. Milwaukee normally has 150 polling sites for 315 wards. They have consolidated to 5 polling centers today. And why is this so important? This is our first kind of full coronavirus election, and this is a preview of what's going to come in the national election, right? If we don't do national vote by mail, which is just common sense, yes, it increases turnout by 10%. I'm so sorry. It's a tragedy for people that need lower turnout. But when you watch this happen, when you're watching this line here in Wisconsin, you're watching these people do this, there's no reason to justify this unless you want to stop people from voting. The economic value of this, all these people's wasted day, they could be working, they could be reading, they could be studying, they could be doing anything but stand in line 6 feet apart all the way around the block wearing masks because you don't have vote by mail. In Oregon, the entire state of Oregon votes by mail. 10 years, 20 years now. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying that's the perfect system. We need open source tabulators with hardware that we can verify, verifiable hardware. But starting out with voting by mail instead of standing in line would just be that simple. In Pennsylvania's upcoming primary, every voter should get an absentee ballot application in the mail, whether they request it or not. That's an opinion piece. They should. They should get that. There's 600,000 people in Wisconsin, and there's 5 places to vote. Get ready. This is what America is going to look like. Supreme Court sides with the Republicans. Absentee voting cannot be extended. And Wells Fargo stops taking small business relief loan applications. Nice. All right. The banks are dragging their feet on giving the money back to the people who need it. Businesses are going to go out of business. In the United Kingdom, it looks like the percentages of deaths released were 80% too low. 80% low, the numbers in the United Kingdom. So that's a ridiculous comparison there. Look how off they are. Under 750, actually 1,500. That's practically double. 80% low. Milwaukee voters are preparing to wait 5 hours to vote. 5 hours. So, democracy in America today. Either vote by mail or this happens. And again, we can do this in slow motion. Chances are they do nothing, and this happens in November on a nationwide scale. Here's another palate cleanser. I reviewed all of my photos from 2020 so far. There are so few. I didn't go anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. There's nothing to take pictures of. But I thought I'd send some out already. Obviously, this is a bad sign that you could do a best of 2020, and it's only April. So here's a classic from the casino, Out of Service. This was from midnight on, this is New Year's Eve 2019, already a bad sign. I used to be more optimistic about seeing Sonic the Hedgehog in theaters. I guess that's not going to happen. Might have to download it, I suppose. Remember when people went outside? Boy, it was pretty. And there's a nice shot of the sunset over the mountains and some cars and kind of this little mountain town that Vegas is if you get off the strip. And it's not even really that pretty. But it's just that we can't go outside and we haven't been outside and no one's going outside. So anything is better than nothing. Heck, I was excited yesterday. It rained. It was a change. It was something different. They made a brand new Plinko machine, just like The Price is Right. I lost $5. Slot machines are stupid. But yeah, I wanted it to do the Plinko thing. I wanted it to start the little ball at the top and have it go ping, 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 ping. But I think you have to win to get it to do that, and I did not win. I don't really have any patience with losing money on these stupid machines. So I checked out the Star Trek experience at the Westgate and the Hilton, but this is really all that's left. Is these fantastic doors from the gift shop right here, from the preview center, the other gift shop. Very Star Trek looking, these doors. It used to be a great thing in Las Vegas, the Star Trek experience. I got to go a long time ago. That was pretty fun. I showed some pictures of my Lewis chess set. I completed it this last year. I traveled again to the British Museum, bought more pieces, made it all the way up north to Edinburgh, to the Scottish Museum, and got these Scottish pieces here. And fortunately enough, someone on eBay sold me a bunch of pawns. They're not quite big enough, but they're nice pawns. And there's my Star Trek away team beaming down to this strange world of chess sets. So thought it'd be fun, share some pictures of 2020, try to distract everybody a little bit. See, this is nice. You're coming down from the news. You're like, I got all angry, and then I cooled back off. Price of Bitcoin up 0.55% with a last of 7,379. It's actually not bad at all. They've got a Gremlins slot machine, even though the movie's very, very old. Orange is the new black slot machine. I've never seen the show. Do you think I'd be able to understand the slot machine? Big Bang Theory slot machine. These are actually pretty popular. They have different versions. But yeah, that's what the world used to be like. Yes, I didn't go outside. It's so funny now. Whenever you post any kind of picture, and I like it. People are trying to be protective of me and others. They're like, no, don't go outside. Oh, no, you're wearing a mask. You're not wearing a mask, and all these things. It's like, it's okay, guys. These are old. These are old photos. But these are the new photos of Milwaukee. Let's not forget for a single goddamn second that Speaker Voss, Senator Fitzgerald, and their fellow Wisconsin Republicans forced these people to risk their health and safety to exercise their voting rights today. And it is just a really bad look. Like, I know, if you're on the other side of this and you're like, oh, it's okay. They did the right thing. F the absentee ballots. And I'm down with keeping voter turnout low. It's just a horrible look in Milwaukee today, and a preview of what our elections in the United States are going to be like unless we activate vote by mail. Vote by mail is a much better way to vote. It's been a long time. Oregon. Andreas Antonopoulos sent in this picture. He said this is a rare photo of a 5G antenna spreading coronavirus via chemtrails. Trump is going to propose sending an invisible F-35 to fire a hydrochloroquine missile at it. So there it is. There's your chemtrail 5G telephone station. Funny image from Andreas there, giving us the humor. And now it all comes together. The New York Times reports that Trump himself has a financial stake in the French company that makes the brand name version of hydroxychloroquine. So I hate to say it, but if you follow the money, it all comes home. He wants you to use the drug that he invested in the company. So, oh well, that's great. I guess the Overton window is constantly moving these days. I'd just like to thank everyone for supporting this show. We're running one of the old fundraisers, and we're getting very close to our goal again. We'd also thank our friend Bitcoin for going up. That always helps, but we are 99.26% towards our goal, 99.31, thank you, Bitcoin, towards getting Thomas home from Frankfurt and Malta. He's stuck out there. We had 22 donations. Our last donation was 34,955 Satoshis, but it was way back in 2019. So let's see if we can get a new donation today, see if that Bitcoin thing still works. Remember, this is Tallycoin. You can use the Bitcoin or the Lightning Network. Scan the same QR code. You can create your own fundraiser at Tallycoin. They don't take anything. You just have a Bitcoin address, and they show you some cool charts and graphs and a page like this. So. We'd also like to go ahead and open it up to phone calls right now. We're going to switch the lower third. Let's see. Open broadcaster. Can you handle it? We're going to get the phone calls into the chat. Let's see. Chat, where'd you go? Here we go. Chat, call now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network. All one word. I'll try to keep the show going just a little bit longer. See if we can get your phone call in. I saw Norm out there in the chat. Norm, do you want to talk about Tiger King? Give us a call. You were an early fan of the show. I think pretty clearly it was destined to be a hit. It just has that unstoppable, unwatchable nature. As I mentioned yesterday, at the end of every episode, they throw a little fact in there about one of the characters, and you're like, oh my goodness, that can't be true. That's so many more levels of madness than I originally thought. This Tiger King, and it's even strange at the end, a bit of pulling with your emotions, right? At one point you're like, no, he's a good guy, he shouldn't go to jail, it seems like they framed him. And then at another point you're like, well, he was kind of really bad to the animals. So it really does kind of swing back and forth. Should this guy be in jail? And certainly I agree with the Doc character at the end who's saying what an idiot Joe Exotic was, and that he was just a moron, and they spent all this work and all this effort to frame a moron who was just too stupid to actually pull this off. They think they're going to get a hit for $3,000. Hits cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why would you? What kind of hit are you going to get for $3,000? And turned out to be a hit on himself, right? But yeah, check out Tiger King. That's been fun. I watched Picard as well. I could do without it. Been playing the South Park games. Played my way through Stick of Truth into the Fractured Butthole now. That's a great title. And it's funny with these South Park games. They're like little episodes, and you just got to play your way through them. And it's amazing how South Park, the town, has grown up over the years. In the early game, there's about 9 kids, houses, not that much more to it now. Layers upon layers of Sodo Sopa and Shitty Paw Town and these kind of things. And so much has happened on South Park over the years. So yeah, check out Tiger King. Let me know what you guys think. We'll probably, when Dan gets back, maybe we'll do a whole show about that if he's up to date. Do some leaf blowing here on Bitcoin. Will keep the charts clean. The price of Bitcoin is up 2.7% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 7,359, a high of 7,454, and a low of 7,134. That's $1 for 13,587 Satoshis on the other side of the 15,000 Satoshi barrier. There we go. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas, it's Martin from San Jose. How are you?
Hey, doing good. How's it going, Martin?
Oh, all right. The days, man, they're blending together and just things. Oh shit! You know what? I have you going on in the background. It's tripping me out. I can't hear the show with the delay.
You've got to turn down your radio there, caller. Got to turn down your radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying, man. The days are drifting together. There are things that, and I guess, let's go back to the positive side of this. We should all be working on our positive projects and we should be improving ourselves. But something someone said earlier really made sense to me. They said, you're not just working from home, you're working from home during a pandemic, right? So it's that whole second half where you just start to forgive things. Like, you spent half the day sitting on the couch playing video games and you're thinking about tomorrow and you're like, that sounds like a good plan for tomorrow too. So,
oh yeah,
normally not so much.
It's hard to motivate.
Yeah, it's hard to motivate. It's scary. Like your brain drifts. I would rather be fully distracted, whether that's a movie or a video game or something stupid like Tiger King or New Girl or whatever you're into. What have you been watching or playing, Martin? Have you been reading anything? What are you doing to distract yourself?
Well, even if I try, even if I try to distract myself, it's always there, like an itch. Like the pandemic. Well, what I do try to distract myself with is, I like to do model making stuff. So I just set up my workstation and been building little HO scale buildings, and it's been years since I was doing it before, but I'm finally getting back into it. So create these little tiny miniature worlds.
That sounds like a good hobby. That sounds like something to get back into. And again, you just have to set up your little area. And normally you're like, oh, I should take this down or I should clean this up or whatever. But now it's like, let's just leave that table in the corner up. Let's start setting up some projects. Let's start, getting something done, getting that multi-day effort on it. And I think it is possible. I think if you work hard enough, you can distract yourself. But yeah, it does drift back in there. I had that funny thought the other day. Normally I'm pretty much inside most of the time. Really, I read books. I stick around the house, but not this much, not 100%. And I thought about when we'd come back from Burning Man and you'd been off the grid for like a week or maybe even 10 days or longer if you went in early to work on a project, and we'd come back and I'd just be like, Jamba Juice. I need Jamba Juice. And you go to this place and they make you juice and they put it in the blender and all the fruits and stuff, and you haven't really had access to fresh fruits in a while. And boom, perfect. You get the smoothie. It's awesome. And I thought, right now, even though I'm in the city, I'm with all these other people and all these supplies and all these buildings and all this stuff. I can't get Jamba Juice. It's out. It's over. And then you drift and you're like, I could go for a Starbucks, and what about, some chicken wings? And I'm reading about this book, and in South Park, they're going to the Raisins place. And I'm like, I could go to Raisins. There used to be a Hooters casino. I mean, you could get chicken wings and anything. And no, nothing. It's all closed. It doesn't matter what level it's at. If it's, highbrow, going to the bookstore. If it's lowbrow, going to Hooters and getting chicken wings. If it's in the middle, going to like a comedy show or anything in Vegas, everything is closed. It's like this everywhere. It's not just you. And yeah, that's when it does start to drift and it gets a little like vertigo, right? You start to circle and you're like, I am stuck.
I heard Ruth's Chris is doing steaks still. They have that in Vegas, don't they?
I've seen them around. I haven't been. But yeah, I don't know if they're still doing it or if they're doing delivery. I know all the restaurants are pretty much doing delivery only. I'm not even sure they can even do takeout. I saw yesterday, a lot of the stores and stuff, people are just shifting and they're just like, yeah, no one really wants to go in the store anymore. We're just going to do takeout all the time now and just delivery all the time. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just heard that Ruth's Chris, they, somehow they're managing to stay open. It's like a higher end steak restaurant, but I ate there a few times, and I don't know how that worked because it comes out on a hot plate, sizzling with butter, and I don't know how they put that. Maybe I don't know how they do it, but
you know how it is. I mean, it's so funny. I was in San Francisco a few years ago, and we were kind of on the front end of all these delivery services. And, now everyone's doing it. Everyone's having their groceries deliveries. Everyone's having their food and their alcohol and even their other stuff all delivered. And, sadly, from my San Francisco experience, I could tell you what they do with that steak. They probably slap it in a styrofoam container, dump some scoops of the other stuff next to it, and then put it in somebody's car where it shifts all over from left to right to upside down, and there's all this stuff. And then by the time it gets to you, it looks nothing like it did in the picture, and it's cold, and it's upside down. And still, though, these are pretty shitty days. You're probably like, hot damn, it's a steak. So you probably give it 5 stars and tip $5 or something. So I don't know. Maybe it's still worth it.
Oh, man, you hit the nail on the head with that one. That's how it is. Anytime you order, the guys just don't care.
That's what happens when you're really hungry. All the food tastes better, and when you haven't had something for a long time, you remember it more. So it's going to be a lot.
Oh man, I've been eating nothing but fucking hot dogs and crap. Campbell's soup, terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
we got to do a better job packing. I did the same thing. I was like, it's the end of the world, so I'm gonna need top ramen and I'm gonna need a cup of noodle. And I haven't eaten these things in 15 years, and they're so salty. Like you think you're having a heart attack a lot of the time. You're like, this is too much. Top ramen.
Oh, you gotta lay down after.
Yeah. The MSG top ramen is just not very good. Like I don't know. I started eating can of tuna every day. I kind of like that. Can of tuna is pretty good. And then I've been treating myself. I ate the tuna first. Later, I'm going to move into the albacore. If I did it the other way, I would be hating every can of tuna. So you got to have the right order for things, orders of operation. Yeah.
They make canned salmon, which is pretty good. It's a little bit more pricier, but I think it's better for you because it's got all those fats in there.
That'd be good. I could go for canned chicken probably if I ever go outside again. Salmon, yeah,
salmon.
I know.
But
Fish,
chicken's
though.
good too.
I want chicken, man. Everyone's all into fish. It's supposed to be good for you. I don't know. Then poor Howard Stern developed the mercury poisoning. So 100% fish, probably not the way to go. But
hey, the other day you guys were talking about the green zones I think it was the Bitcoin group.
Which green zones? In China? Like how you can, if you're clean or?
Yeah, just in general, like, entertaining the idea, how will we get through this? And there would be, I think somebody said, maybe it was you or another guy, was saying that there would be like a green zone where you would have to either have the antibodies or the vaccine in order to enter, right?
That's definitely already happening in China. They're scanning people's phones, and they're having these little checkpoints, and then if you're let in, that you're clean. I don't know that it's happening at a luxury level yet, but you have to imagine it at a high-end luxury level. The thing you want to buy now is a clean space. You know,
right? You know what kind of plays into the idea that that China, and I know this is a hotly contested item here, but that China intentionally released it. They're empty cities. I don't know how many empty cities they have just ready to move people in, but it's a really creepy thought that they could have been planning this for decades. Man, back a couple weeks ago, I sent you that article of the Chinese military leader. Do you remember that?
Not sure about that one.
Did you get a chance to read that?
I don't know if you want to live in a city anymore. I kind of agree with the guy in the chat. I think Dan Trev was saying a couple weeks ago, he's like, if you look at New York, it's like an anthill, right? It's like people stacked on top of people. And what's sad is that previously I was right there with them. Like I had that dream. I lived in San Francisco. I lived in Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento's not a big city, but San Francisco is a smaller big city. And yeah, maybe someday I would like to live in New York or in another big city. But if you think about it the way it is now, that's kind of just a big virus breeding ground. And if you think about being trapped in quarantine in a little apartment and not really being able to go out, and there's kind of sickness all around you in the elevator, in the hallways, in the staircases. You can't really get good exercise or sunshine. Yeah, the plumbing is bad and old. And no, I don't know how attractive cities are. I mean, maybe if we had an empty city, we could all space it out. Like James was saying in his theory about the escape pods. He said you could use college campuses as escape pods, empty them out, send in only clean people, have walls or some other kind of protection put up, and then have only clean people in there. And you can have basically a little clean society. And it sounds like science fiction, but it also sounds like a way to get people back to work, studying again, playing basketball again, going to games faster than any other way. I think what we are going to try is I definitely think we're going to do that reopen thing. I think the real chart to look at today is this wiggle chart. Let me see if I can find it here, where we reopen. And it goes down, and then it comes back up. Here it is. Come on. Here it is. This is the JPM version of the story. Let's see if we can open in a new window even.
Or is that like the second wave?
Yeah, that there's going to be that we're going through the first wave now. We're not even really over the hump, but we're dreaming that we're over the hump, and we're dreaming that we can get to this relaxation where we all go back outside and everybody tries to infect everybody all over again. Right. Then we have the second wave, but it's a little bit smaller, right? It's a triangle that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like one of those stock market charts, right? And we keep thinking that we're out of it, and then we go back outside, and then we're back in it. We lock back down, we're back out. So it's just kind of those. I don't know that people can even handle this, but this is what you have to mentally prepare for: is that all these periods of we're out, everything is fine, which is when I'm going to be going to Costco, probably still wearing gloves. Then, another lockdown, everyone freaks out. Probably by about the third lockdown, the civil liberties people are going completely apeshit, right? They're like, this is a new normal. This is horrible. And we get free again. It's great. Lock down again, free again, lock down again, free again, lock down again. And then at the end, the vaccine is developed. And the bummer about this vaccine, I feel like we've been in this 2 or 3 months already, but no one is subtracting that from the vaccine time. Everyone keeps saying a year to a year and a half, not counting those 2 to 3 months. So I would prefer to say a year and a month. Wouldn't it be great if we could move it forward? But I'm not sure that it has. The vaccine progress, I think Bill Gates is monitoring it closely. I've heard he has 7 factories to make 7 different versions of the vaccine so they can be tested. And he's willing to throw away the other 6 factories if only one version works, right? So
I'll tell you, the issue with those vaccines is a long-term effect. You know, they did a lot of vaccine testing on U.S. soldiers for anthrax during the Gulf War, and a lot of those guys just became maimed. They had severe health problems. And I remember also that China they attempted to develop a SARS vaccine several years ago. In the trials with the rats, the issue that they had was if they gave the rat the vaccine, they were okay until I forget, maybe they were like reinfected a certain number of times, and then they would just their lungs would fill up with fluid. I'd be worried, man, that they try to push this stuff out and the vaccine, and I'm not like a the vaccine is a chip in the market. Maybe there's a little truth to that, but there is some concern about pushing a vaccine really fast without.
I'd be more worried about a smaller vaccine. I mean, it makes more sense to me that a smaller vaccine for a smaller disease made in less factories, there could be more likely that someone would dump the wrong thing in on purpose or by accident or whatever, and that it could happen in a small subset of trials. I think something like this, it's going to be manufactured on such a massive level with so many different people watching it and then producing it in different countries, and all, again, on the same kind of standards of wanting to produce a really good vaccine that's going to help the most number of people. I think it's going to be a success. And again, yeah, maybe I wouldn't want the first dose or whatever, but that's why we're going to test it for a year and a half. By the time I get it or anyone else gets it, they're going to have tested it hundreds, maybe thousands of times with varying results. Yes, some of those people are going to get sicker, and some of those people aren't going to get sick enough, right? I mean, we have to find the variants of the vaccine. We have to find out where its sweet spot is. But again, yeah, I think this is going to be something we're all going to want. I don't think it's going to be a conspiracy theory. And it really is the only chance at getting the old world back. Everyone liked the old world so much. It was just a couple months ago. People are still living in denial reality of it. But if we want to go back to the old world, it's going to be vaccines pretty much for everybody. Then there's going to be proving that you have the vaccine on your phone or your whatever, your bracelet or your chip or whatever we're going to do. Something's going to happen, because if you want to go on the airplane, it has to be a trusted system. It has to be trusted to the point where I'm going to trust it and go on the airplane. And it's in the airplane's interest to provide this. It's in the business and the corporation's interest. I think we're going to see the first fully automatic McDonald's. And I think people are going to cheer. They're not going to think about all the jobs lost. They're going to think, wow, I can get a burger that no human has ever touched. That's what people are going to want.
That'll be nuts.
That's because that's the new selling point. I mean, I haven't been out, I've been out once in the last month, and we drove by a McDonald's and there were people in line, and people are hungry and they need food, and it's affordable and all those kind of things. And it's tasty, it tastes like chemicals, and makes you feel good. So I was thinking, dang, I should get me some McDonald's while I'm out. And then I thought to myself, just a little thought experiment. It's like, well, what if one of the employees, couldn't take a day off work because they have to work all the time? And what if their kid was sick and their family was sick and all the other people connected to them were sick, and now they have to come into work sick, and they're good. They're a good guy. They don't want to get me sick, but they need that McJob. They can't mess around. And then I was like, yeah, I'm paying $3 for the potential to have sickness in there. Like, it's not.
All you got to do is breathe on the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All they have to do, and they could even not know. They're pre-symptomatic. They're asymptomatic. They're going to work anyway. They think they're strong. They haven't been coughing. But yeah, the little water droplets are dropping out. And I guess everyone could wear masks and gloves and, I don't know, change gloves for every burger. It just doesn't seem economical. Yeah, no, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't think about going there. I wasn't that hungry. I was capable of
Oh, hell
driving
no.
home. Even then, I read that Jocko Willink book. I'm not afraid of fasting, really. Like, I know that I can fast for a couple of days. So if it's only donuts and I'm trying to be healthy and thinner, I can not eat those donuts. And these donuts could have been coughed on by anybody. Like, it's no longer, a lot of the old things are just gone. And it takes people a long time to really kind of think it out. Think about, again, every level, every direction that you go in, you move your little imaginary avatar. Let's say my imaginary avatar goes to a clothing store. Do you really want to try on clothes that other people have tried on now? Like they might have coughed on? I mean, I'm not I'm not a germaphobe, but maybe I am now, right? And maybe it's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if 20%, 30%, 50%, if a lot of people in the population, men or women or anybody, feels this same way, the whole trying on clothes in stores thing is over, right? The whole going to movie theaters thing may be over. I think video game arcades. I was looking at some pictures of pinball arcade that I went to before in the old days. A lot of people touch that machine. Like I really don't know. Like, am I going to have to wear little gloves? Am I going to have to sanitize all the time? Am I going to have to wear a mask all the time just in case?
Oh, those machines. They're so greasy.
That's it. And think about pinball machines. Think about slot machines. Think about terminals in airports. Those machines we use to check into the airplane. All of this used to be fine. This was all fine.
The old people chain smoking, touching their mouth.
A lot of them have the oxygen tanks with them, and they have the mask right there and the oxygen, and they're betting on these slot machines that have a terrible percentage payout. And yeah, I don't know if they're going to come back. I mean, I guess some of them are risk takers. Obviously, you got your front end of the curve. They don't care. So they'll be back at least until the virus knocks them down. I figure once you have this thing, you really are freaked about it, even though I guess you can't get it anymore, theoretically. But we don't even really know that.
That's what I was wondering about the multiple strains thing. Like if you get one, are you immune to the others? Does it work like a tree? Like if you get the first one of it, does your body recognize all of the mutations after? How would that work?
So far, we think yes. So far, it's mutated, but it hasn't mutated as wildly as they thought possible. So we're actually in the clear there. But again, over time, yes, it could definitely mutate more. It could get worse and worse. And the main thing we're talking about here is that this is all just a preparation and a dress rehearsal for the real virus. And all the concerns you have now, you have civil liberty concerns, you have food concerns, you have security concerns, you have supply concerns, whatever your concerns are, they would be much worse if this was the real virus. And you mentioned anthrax a little while ago. I haven't read about it yet, but I have no reason to believe it's not true. But I've heard that anthrax was actually a Soviet weapon that they worked at in a lab, and that it was like their Chernobyl. That it got out accidentally, and that it wrecked a whole area of their thing, and that's why it's so good at spreading, and that's why it might even be defeating those vaccines, or like you were saying, that they only worked a little while and then they didn't, and such, because of the man-made aspects of it. And I want to read more about that. I haven't yet, but I have no reason to believe that it's not true. I'm pretty sure, because it's one of those, they told us that it was an accident, or they told us it was from the wild, and all the while, just like the communist government in China, the Soviet government was covering it up to save face.
Oh God, I know. Let's hope that this is their Chernobyl.
Well, I don't know. Let's hope it came from bats, right? Let's hope that this like the guy keeps saying in the chat that this is the meathead virus, and it's our own dumb fault for eating meat. And then if we just switched to plants, we never would have had this virus, and so on and so forth. And if it did come from a dirty meat market where they sold bats and kangaroos and I don't know what the fuck else, a bunch of
I don't
random
know,
shit people
man.
want to eat. I don't eat it, but
Yeah, I got a hard time believing the whole food market theory. It just seems too like this thing doesn't it? It has the bat virus, but it also has got another couple things in there that you look at and you're just like, what the fuck? Like there's the spike proteins are actually identical to HIV, and the you can look that up. There was a study early on that was done by some Indian scientists, but they were forced to retract it, because the consequences of it being a bioweapon that was released either intentionally or on accident, the consequences of that would be severe. I mean, you're talking about possible war, and obviously that would be a road we wouldn't want to go down. But it just seems like something that it would have to be like a 1 in a billion chance that, because there was another animal that they said that it jumped. It was a snake, and I hadn't heard anything else about this except early on when I was reading about it from China, that the bat virus had to jump to a snake virus, and then the snake virus had to jump to a human being. But there's even some Ebola DNA in there too. And I'm telling you, you could search this stuff up. It just seems so far-fetched that you had a snake, a bat, and a. I mean, they do keep them in cages all together, but
it's a bad joke, right? Like
time.
a snake, a bat, and a biological disease walk into a bar, and yeah, it's not a good look. I don't know if it's all true. I mean, we're looking at the Sverdlovsk anthrax leak right here in Wikipedia, and as it says here, the cause of the outbreak was denied for years by Soviet authorities, who blamed the death on consumption of tainted meat from the area and subcutaneous exposure due to the butcher's handling of the tainted meat. All medical records of the victims were removed to hide serious violations of the Biological Weapons Convention. The accident is sometimes referred to as biological Chernobyl. So just in case you guys in the chat haven't heard about this, go ahead and Google the Sverdlovsk anthrax leak. In the chat.
Oh, dude, that's like when they say there was a UFO. The go-to is swamp gas or a weather balloon. When it's something like this,
dude, do you want to freak out?
Painted meat or
they had the UFOs on the McLaughlin group this week, and they said they were real.
What's the McLaughlin group?
Well, the McLaughlin group is this TV show that's been on for like 50 years, something like that, since the 80s and the 70s. And the most recent episode, it's very conservative. It's on like PBS and stuff like. But the most recent episode, they showed this UFO footage from there it is. Okay, there it is. And this is from the Pentagon, and the UFOs are real, as it says right here. We're showing the clip on the screen. It's probably delayed, but yeah, they show this footage from the Pentagon that apparently was leaked accidentally, and you can see it now. The objects in motion.
The wind's 120 knots to the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's a look at that thing. It's rotating.
That video was recorded in 2015 by the crew of a U.S. Navy F-18 fighter jet. It was.
So, and again, basically on this very conservative, very traditional political show, they basically acknowledge that we have UFOs. These two UFO sightings were near, nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. So again, they do seem to be concerned about our use of nuclear power. We don't know if they're from, this world, another world, the future, the past, whatever. Mainly, it's the same old thing. They see the way that it's moving. It's moving in a way that nothing else has ever moved before. It's all over the place, and then it just rockets right out of there. Right, it just takes off. It says right here, there's a whole fleet of them. My gosh. And again, this is the official.
Your moderator has learned that the U.S.
footage.
government assesses that these objects, often seen around nuclear-powered U.S. aircraft carriers, are not controlled by a foreign power. The objects, which vary in form, have been recorded instantaneously accelerating to hypersonic speeds without using jet propulsion, traveling in hundreds of knots under the water, and shielding themselves from visual and radar detection. That doesn't mean they're alien in nature, but it does mean something interesting is going on.
Now, I thought that was one of the most interesting lines that he said, where he said, that doesn't mean it's alien in nature. Just a second after he said that they went under the water. So I don't want to stack conspiracy theories on top of conspiracy theories here, but it could be Atlantis.
No.
It could be Atlantis under the water with superior technology, coming out to check on us because we've got some nasty nuclear aircraft carriers. But yeah, that was just last week on the McLaughlin Group, which again is the most center of the road, conservative, square program. They would never talk about UFOs. And again, they all did it casually, without a great deal of worry or speculation, other than what I played there, where he talked about the nuclear aircraft carriers, speculated they might have come from underwater. So yeah, that's happening around this thing as well. So maybe the aliens will have a cure for the virus. Maybe they'll do some good, huh?
Well, I keep coming across, I like to read about the different theories and stuff. But that the coronavirus is not real, that they just want to get people into their homes for a pending alien invasion. And there's a bunch of craft, that are approaching basically. And, I don't, who the hell knows? I'm inclined to believe anything at this point. We'll see what happens. It's funny.
Now that's the footage I want to see. I keep seeing all these people, they go to some hospital and the virus hasn't hit the hospital yet. So the hospital's still preparing, they're not crazy busy. And then the guy's like,
right,
it's all a hoax. It's not crazy busy. But and then of course the next day, I'm sure it's blown out. But wouldn't it be great if we had one of those videos where the guy goes out to an empty field and he's like, there's a Close Encounters sized UFO out there just sitting there. And he's like, you need to go outside more. There's effing UFOs everywhere. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, man. No, that would be great. And just like they all say, we all have these smartphones now. If there's some aliens out there, get your phone and film us some aliens and go get them. So, yeah. And again, the same thing if the martial law or whatever. I just think we're going to go outside and kick its ass. So,
yeah.
I just don't, and the same thing with the aliens or whatever they got. I just don't think.
Well, I keep entertaining this idea that we'll have a really simple drug treatment for this thing. I'll leave you on like a happy idea here, but we'll find a very simple, easy to manufacture drug treatment for a coronavirus, and it'll be something already available, and we'll find the cure, and everyone will be happy, and the whole world will empty out of their homes into the streets, and it'll just be one gigantic party, and everyone will go back. Everything will go back to normal, and the entire
we'll all
world will
be
just
exchanging
celebrate
biological information again and swapping spit and all the things we used to do casually with random people. Yeah, that's definitely coming.
Oh
back.
no,
no,
that world's over, huh?
Oh, it's over. But they do have a potential virus. Or a potential vaccine. It was pretty interesting. They have a cure. It was like you're saying. It's with, and I don't know very much about this. They said it was with the stick proteins, like you're saying, and that it actually goes on like a Band-Aid, and they said that it feels like Velcro, and it's all these micro needles like pricking your skin. Something about the way these micro needles work is that it activates those proteins that you need to fight the virus. So it starts working right there. So it could be like a virus strap, like someone, the doctor or the nurse or whatever puts a little strap on your thumb, like a little thing, and it's like, and you're like, oh, that feels kind of pointy, like Velcro, and then boom, you have the things that are going to help you kill the virus. So that could be kind of futuristic-y and fun, right?
That sounds like some Star Trek shit.
Yeah, it really did, and that's what they think the best way to administer the potential vaccine might be, because of these spike proteins, which again, you just need to read more about. Not a doctor, so.
Not a doctor, no.
Well, we'll make it through it,
right,
Martin. Another day inside. Any plans that you want to leave us with? Are you going to watch a book or a movie, or your model? What kind of model are you building right now? Anything specific you can leave us with? What you're going to do? Something positive, yeah?
Okay, a couple years ago, I started working on this. It was like a post-apocalyptic diorama, and I built several of the buildings. It's funny, right? I started. I have a couple of the buildings already put together, and I was looking at them last night, and I'm like, this shit is too close to home now. And the way that I built them was like all dilapidated and shingling falling off and worn paint, and I got a couple of the buildings that they're like flop houses and billiards hall and just like real like degenerate style buildings, and but I was looking at it, I'm like, you know what, I gotta like put a fresh coat of paint on these buildings or something, because they talk about manifesting and things like that. Maybe if I build a little nicer city, we can, who knows, right?
That sounds like a good plan. You gotta build the positive city. You gotta fix everything up, change the direction of it. I know Charlie Strauss, the author, he was writing a book, and of course the book happened to be about viruses. So he said he pretty much threw the book on the fire. He published the rough draft. He wrote a big blog post. Maybe people give him donations if they like the rough draft or something. If you read it was cool, you give him $5 or something. But yeah, no, he was totally blown out by it. He was like, yeah, it's just too close. I just can't do it. It's over. It reminded me of right after 9/11, the band Anthrax was stocking up on the anthrax vaccine or the anthrax cure or whatever it was. And the lead singer of Anthrax put a quote out that I thought was just the greatest quote. He said, "We will not die an ironic death." I was like, man, that's great. That is a solid quote, Anthrax. Like, I may not know any of your songs, I may not know your music, but man, do I know that quote. That is a solid quote. So
yeah, that's awesome.
All right, well, thanks so much, Martin. Have a good day, and give us a call again soon.
You too, brother.
All right.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
And you can give us a call now at 1-518-600-1949, or you can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. If you're international, you can use 001, maybe use Gmail or some other kind of program that lets you make a free phone call. Or you can just write a question into the chat or anything like that. We're keeping an eye on the chat right now. But go ahead and call us. Tell us what it's like in your neighborhood. Are you working on models like Marty or something else? I know I made a Lego model not too long ago. I think the video might still be out there if you look a little bit, if you do some searching. But yeah, I made the Lego Las Vegas model. Thanks to Jeremy, I think it is in the chat. Or no thanks to Jeremy, because I had to get all those little pieces. And Lego is basically similar to computer programming in that it's a complete nightmare. You have to gather up all the little pieces, separate it. You have to follow the instructions perfectly. This little piece might look a lot like that piece, but they are not the same. If you get them wrong, You're going to be picking them apart maybe with a knife or something. Sometimes you can't get those little pieces apart. But no, I fought through it. I used a lot of strange Lego pieces like I'd never seen before, but I built the Lego Las Vegas architecture model, and it's still up there. You can't really see from this angle. I could get it down maybe. Yeah, see, that's what I'm afraid of, is that Jeremy's going to send a bigger Lego model next time, and I'll lose my mind. That one, I managed just barely to build it in like one sitting. I want to say it took maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, but I filmed it, and it's not the perfect, you always want that kind of stop motion, the model came together. I didn't quite capture that, but yeah, I tried my best to film it and live stream it and make a little event out of it because, the guy bought me a Lego set. So, yeah, he says other Lego city sets, they're actually really expensive. I mean, I think Lego in general is expensive, and the city ones, I looked at San Francisco. I thought about it. Kind of expensive. And then, of course, I'm looking at that crazy rocket, and I don't want that rocket. I thought about showing it the other day, but, like, there's all this kind of political dislike going around, so I don't want to try to fundraise in the middle of political dislike. That's pretty stupid. But yeah, I thought about sharing my Amazon list again. But if I did, somebody might actually buy me that stupid rocket. Then I'd have to build it. So I don't really want to share the list again. So it's funny. But again, I like the finished product of Lego. I like the way it feels when you've built something. But the actual nuts and bolts of building it, I find much more like work. And the same could be said about computer programming. If I have a good database in my mind, something that I want to build, and I work really hard and I build it, I feel good about it afterwards, but I don't feel great about it during. I'm a very limited programmer, not tooting my own horn here or something, but even I have gone back and looked at my old code and seen something kind of elegant and been like, who wrote that? Who the heck wrote that? And it turns out it was me. But maybe that's something we should try to do for fun. Get back into the little bit of computer programming I used to do. The main problem I had recently when I tried to get my stuff working again was my SQL databases wouldn't import. My SQL databases were from some old version where it had less limitations on what could be in your database or how it could be built. So I got a bunch of errors just trying to import my data. So that obviously did not bode well for trying to run my code. But maybe it'd be fun. Maybe it'd be a good positive project. And again, if we're going to be in here 6 months to a year or something, I'm going to run out of stupid video games and TV shows. I'm going to have to do something smart, like computer programming. So that might be fun. And maybe I'll post about it for sure, try to get some help. That is the big difference between now and when I used to do computer programming. It used to be just you in a room, just you and a book and a computer, and no friends, no help, no chat boards, no messages. If you weren't a good programmer, it was like, F you, there's something wrong with you. So I think it's a lot better now. I also think the programs make a lot more sense about what they're doing. Like when I was taking data in and out of a database, I knew what I was doing. I knew why I was doing it. Whereas in the old days when they were having us increment arrays or do all these big long number functions in C++ and stuff, I was like, why are we doing this? What does this have to do with anything? And I just couldn't do it. I think what would have been great for me in hindsight would have been programming games. I think moving those pixels around, making things shoot and explode or whatever, and maybe even trying to get into the story. That would have been really fun. So if I was a kid these days, I would say teach them to program games. I don't know how hard it is, but it would be cool if you could like make your own Pac-Man or make your own Space Invaders and then build from there towards all kinds of other games and things. But I suppose a lot of people just do mods now. You could do a mod on Unreal or a mod on one of these other platforms and then essentially have your own game, which is I think what a lot of us wanted as kids and what a lot of the programmers got into. I asked a lot of programmers recently in my proof of work series about how they got into computers, and a lot of them talked about they just wanted to play games. At that time, to play a game, you had to type in the program from a magazine perfectly, no mistakes, and then you could play some kind of really weak game. But it was worth it. The desire for those games was very, very strong. Checking out the price of Bitcoin here. It's up 0.4% with a last of 7,368. We're trying to get maybe one or two more phone calls here. It'd be great if you want to call us now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We're just going to try to get in a few more phone calls before we head towards the end of the show. People are talking about wearing American flags in the chat. It's actually funny. In the official flag code, it actually says the flag is not to be made into clothing. It's not to be worn. It's supposed to be treasured. But that was long before the whole faux patriotism that happened after Tuesday. There's a question in the chat about Star Trek. What's your all-time favorite vessel design? This is a pretty sweet question. I think you start out with something like the original Enterprise, as Scotty would say, no bloody A, no bloody B, no bloody C, and no bloody D. The original Enterprise is pretty great, original Star Trek. I think Voyager actually is a really nice-looking ship, the way the warp nacelles go up and down, as well as the later additions of shields and other Borg technologies. The Borg Cube is mentioned in the chat. It is a pretty great utilitarian vehicle. It was exciting to see it in Star Trek Picard, even though the show was such a horrible, horrible letdown that I will immediately start forgetting that they ever made. The last episode of Next Generation, spoiler alert, was the last episode of the Next Generation. That's it. No movies, no terrible TV shows. Hopefully we can put all this behind us. I agree with Norm in the chat. The Orville is a cool show. And I've watched a lot of videos about this. I'm into the whole YouTube talking about movies, talking about TV shows genre of videos. And yes, they've had many videos where they talk about how what we liked about the old Star Trek is that it was humanist, right? The old Star Trek certainly, didn't like racism, didn't support these things, but not because of any opinion on that, but because of the humanist opinion. It's wrong to be a humanist and to be racist. It's wrong to be a humanist and to discriminate against androids, right? None of these things work in a humanist world like the old Star Trek. Unfortunately, the new Star Trek doesn't seem to be humanist. It doesn't seem to value human life, doesn't really seem to have these higher goals, and doesn't have, not that it's a perfectly crisp and clean universe anymore, not after Deep Space Nine. But the new Star Treks don't have the optimism that the old Star Treks had. Now, maybe that optimism was stupid, right? Maybe it was blind optimism. Maybe it led us in the wrong direction. Maybe all this holodecks and virtual realities and cell phones and spaceships and all the things that we made from Star Trek were a mistake, right? And it would be better if Star Trek represented our times and it was gritty and people smoked and did drugs and committed suicide and murder and all these things in the first episode. No, I don't see it. I think we can still have an optimistic show. I don't think that we have to just have a completely non-optimistic future just because it's not great right now. Things weren't great in the 60s either. There were a lot of chaos when original Star Trek came out, and they still had that positive vision and that wagon train to the stars. And that's why if you go back and watch something like Firefly or the movie Serenity, Firefly does a great job of capturing the original Star Trek spirit, that humanist voyage to the stars. We're a ragtag bunch. We're all in this together. A lot of times, the things that you fight in science fiction aren't even human, aren't even alien, right? There's a leak in the ship, right? Something in the ship doesn't work right. We all need to work together to fix the ship. That's one of the things I like so much about Voyager. They're all out there on their own. There's a real sense of camaraderie in the ship, even though the ship's made up of half former Maquis terrorists, separatists, right? and half Starfleet workers, as well as a couple of random aliens, right? Every episode of Voyager is, how can we work together to solve this problem so we can get home? We're all on the same spaceship. I think that's positive for everyone, that we could all work together, that we could all be so different. You know, you could be a black Vulcan. We're still working together on Voyager, right? Maybe not so much in the new Star Trek. The new Star Trek, everyone hates each other. The Romulan Star Federation has completely collapsed. They are just backwards, sitting on old dusty cowboy planets, being racist to humans. It's just a bizarre, negative vision of the future. And sure, Deep Space Nine drifted a little. It had money, it had Latinum, it had religion. My friend Travis has a fantastic theory on Deep Space Nine. In Deep Space Nine, the what's it called? The Bajoran, obviously pattern on other things. The Bajoran religion is actually real. They pray to those Bajoran gods, and they show up at the end of Deep Space Nine. So that's a really interesting show if you want to watch that. But it does kind of enhance the Star Trek universe, right? You do have money, you do have drugs, you have addicts. I mean, you have these different levels of things. And Enterprise was okay, nothing to write home about. But Voyager, interesting, went on for a long time. And then these movies come out, these Next Generation movies. They're just kind of action adventure. Picard is smashing things and quoting Moby Dick and, you know, the white whale and all these kind of things. It's just really weird compared to the episodes, which are so thoughtful, so scientific. There's a great documentary about Star Trek The Next Generation. It's on Netflix. Shatner does the voices, I think, and all the other interviews. And it talks about how in the first season of Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry was still around, and he wanted everyone on the ship to be perfect, that they had no problems. All the problems would be external, like I'm saying, spaceship attacks and alien attacks. The ship stops working. These are external problems. And obviously this didn't work well. The first season of Next Generation is kind of a train wreck. It's still fun. It's an interesting idea, but on the other seasons after the passing of Mr. Roddenberry, they started to introduce faults in the character. A character would be addicted to drugs. A character wouldn't like their job. A character would want something. You know, they'd have desires. And that allowed them to make a lot of good character-based episodes. And we just don't see either of these things in the new Star Trek. It's not character-based. It's not story-based. It's not humanist. It seems like they have a lot of their own politics a lot of the time, and just mainly things just don't make sense. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you work the first season of Discovery forward, it makes pretty good sense, and it made sense while we were watching it. But if you work it backwards, some characters have an incredible string of luck. It doesn't make any sense. And then the second season of Discovery involves time travel. So there you go. We've already gone off course. Picard seems mainly based around Dune, these warrior women fighting androids, ancient androids, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the problem of artificial intelligence. But it's covered much better in Dune. So I'd suggest you just read Dune. But we are running out of time. People say, check out Farscape. They say Enterprise was dark at times. I could see myself watching Enterprise again. It could be possible. It started to grow at the end. It had that kind of early Federation feeling going on, and we've never really seen that much early Federation, so that would be fascinating to see. Just as they were getting kind of good, though, that's when Enterprise got shut down. So maybe a closing movie for that, or a little send-off would be nice, as unlikely as that might be. But thanks again for everybody for joining us. Another quick episode of the Thomas Hunt Show, talking about everything that's going on in our world. There are 34 people still watching this show. Do you want to see another video? Should we try to get something on the show for you? Let's see. How about some classic Mad Bitcoins? Has anyone ever watched Mad Bitcoins? Probably not. Well, you're in for a treat. I've got a playlist of movie parodies and speeches that I did as Mad Bitcoins. Some of my favorite movies and parodies. That's weird. There's a Saturday Night Live sketch that I didn't do that's on that list. That's not right. Oh, well. Let's get started with just a classic here. Here's Mad Bitcoins on Shark Tank. Oh, it's going to play ads for me? Ooh, how gross. Well, that's what you get for not paying YouTube, is you get ads. Totally ate my video. All right, here it is, full screen. Good old Neil deGrasse Tyson, scientist of scientists. Let's see what's happening on Mad Bitcoins. Let's see. Tab is muted. Unmuted.
Bitcoin to replace the dollar and usher in a new era.
That was exciting. It's exciting for everyone at home too.
Bitcoin to replace the dollar and usher in a new
I want to restart
Exciting.
properly.
Next up is a maniac in a Mad Hatter hat who wants the digital currency Bitcoin to replace the dollar and usher in a new era of world peace. Hi, my name is Mad Bitcoins, and I'm the host of the Mad Bitcoins Show. I'm seeking $100,000 in exchange for 20% of my company. Bitcoin is the most exciting thing happening on the internet right now, and Mad Bitcoins is the show to educate and inform people about this groundbreaking new development in internet history. Now, you may have heard about the MP3. The MP3 was only a file format, but it took the music industry to their knees, and artists who once made millions of dollars now travel around the country making their money on t-shirt sales and concert tickets. The middlemen who used to carry those shiny plastic discs to the store, and the stores who carried them, wiped out. The MP3 was only a file format. Then came BitTorrent. BitTorrent was a protocol, a way to break up files into parts and send those parts around the internet without using centralized servers. Because of BitTorrent's peer-to-peer nature, it was unstoppable. The government can't stop it. The music industry can't stop it. The movie industry can't stop it. And it's eating them alive. Bitcoin is like a combination of the two. It's a file format, a distributed ledger we call the blockchain, and it's a protocol. And it has the potential to disrupt e-commerce, remittances, banking, and much, much more. The ability for people to create and share a distributed cryptographically verified ledger is far greater than the simple printing of electronic money. And though this idea may sound complicated, Mad Bitcoins makes it understandable and entertaining through short daily video updates. The future of entertainment is YouTube. The future of money is Bitcoins. Join me in the future. Support Mad Bitcoins.
Walk me through an example.
Say you wanted to start a war. Well, first, you're gonna need weapons to fight that war. And to get those weapons, you'd have to borrow from the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve would simply print you that money. With Bitcoin, you can't simply print it. The currency itself actually has value. It has to be mined in a complicated mathematical process that has led to the development of application-specific integrated circuits, or ASICs, to increase the mining speed. But even ASIC chips, you still couldn't print Bitcoin fast enough to start a war. The government would have to crowdfund their death planes and murder drones. Are you going to sponsor a death bomb? Are you? I didn't think so. Bitcoin is not just better money. It could also stop war.
What makes you different from the other 90 guys doing
The
this?
exact same thing.
With Mad Bitcoins, the difference isn't just in the character. The difference is in the writing. Sure, other channels can hire booth babes to read their copy, but they'll never be able to produce the informative and entertaining mixture of historical examples and movie quotes like Mad Bitcoins. It's also about persistence. When Hannibal Barca was marauding towards Rome, the various towns along the way would lower their Roman flags, let him in, celebrate him for a few days, and send him on his way. Then, when he left, they raised their Roman flags again. The towns understood that Hannibal, for all his tactical genius and bold strategy, was only passing through. Rome lasts forever. Other Bitcoin video makers may come and go, but Mad Bitcoins keeps coming back.
But there's so much competition. In fact, if you Google this, there's so many pages, you'll die of old age getting to the last.
Actually, if you Google Mad Bitcoins, I'm on page 1. You're wrong about this, Mr. Wonderful, just like you've been wrong so many times before. Bitcoin truly is the currency of the future, and when you say you're out, remember that you're closing the door to that future.
And for that reason, I'm out.
Let's forget what Kevin says. Let's see what the market says. What are your sales?
Since the Mad Bitcoin show began in April 2013, the market value of one Bitcoin has gone from $70 a coin to more than $1,200 a coin, before settling into the current price, which is around $400 a coin. Still a 5-fold increase, or a 17-fold increase at its peak. Mad Bitcoins is clearly good for Bitcoins. Merchant adoption, venture capital, and public awareness have all grown as well during this period. The success of Bitcoin and the success of Mad Bitcoins are intertwined. Like chocolate and peanut butter, they go perfectly together. In the last year and a half, Mad Bitcoins has made more than 450 videos and inspired the World Crypto Network to create more than 300 videos as well, many of them also starring Mad Bitcoin's alter ego, Thomas Hunt. When you sponsor Mad Bitcoins, it's not just about his 3,700 subscribers. It's also about the World Crypto Network with its 2,300 subscribers and the Bitcoin Group with 2,100. With more than 7,000 followers on Twitter, Mad Bitcoins is well on his way to building a literal media empire, completely out of thin air. Just a dream, an idea, an awesome hat, some cool goggles, and some Bitcoin. Invest in Mad Bitcoins. You won't be sorry. I'm faster, leaner, and cheaper than the other guy. Mad Bitcoins is done entirely in-house, from the writing to the performing to the editing to the spreading the word on the internet. And starting with this strong core, we're looking to expand. The World Crypto Network started off with just a few shows, and now we have more than 12. We're expanding constantly. Our strength is a combination of our rapid growth, which is due to the incredibly high quality of our product.
What drives you? Is it the social responsibility, or are you trying to build a business?
I want to bring Bitcoin to the masses. I want to go to every small business in the country and convince them to take Bitcoin personally. That kind of merchant adoption is going to make somebody a lot of money in the future. Or a lot of Bitcoin, I should say. We're going to eliminate money. We're going to eliminate inflation. We're going to save the world. Bitcoin is a technology just as exciting as the internet. You simply haven't heard about it yet, but you will.
Wow. Hallelujah, I can speak. Okay. I'm not sure about this business, all right? I don't know if it's going to win or it's going to lose. So it's a big question mark, quite honestly, in my head. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you the $100,000 for the 20% in your business for one reason only. I feel like you're a winner. I don't know what form that winning's going to take, all right? I'm putting a big blank check in on you, which makes no sense, but I can't help but to feel you are a winner.
Wow.
Well, I think you're great. I love what you're doing because you're a young entrepreneur. I think that Barbara has offered you a deal, and it's a lot better than what I would have offered. So for that reason, I'll go out.
I'll tell you this. You do this deal with Barbara. I'll be a partner with Barbara in it. I'll split it with you.
Yeah, I'll take money from you. Why not?
Let's do some work.
Hey.
There you go. Let's do work. I like it. Wow. It's going to make me do work.
Good work.
Congratulations.
You just proved the American dream is alive and well.
Good luck.
I like that. Doing work.
Thank you. I could use your help.
Hey, I don't know if you heard, but we just had a big development in the unfolding Spygate investigations. It's just been revealed that the Justice Department's investigation of the FBI's actions against the Trump campaign in 2016 has evolved from an internal review into a criminal investigation. Wow, that is big news. With this new designation, U.S. Attorney John Durham, who is the official that William Barr assigned to this case, can now issue subpoenas, impanel a grand jury, compel witnesses to give testimony, and bring federal criminal charges. And this news comes on the heels of a report which said that John Durham was, quote, very interested in questioning the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, who was basically the nation's top spy chief, as well as former CIA director, John Brennan. So this is very significant news, as both Clapper and Brennan were two of the highest level intelligence officials during the Obama administration. And what's more interesting is that this came right after a trip by Durham and Barr to Rome, where they met with Italian intelligence officials as part of their investigation. And these are super significant developments, and they show that Durham and Barr's investigations have now reached the upper echelon of the intelligence agency's former leadership. And if you're looking for a roadmap for what has happened in Spygate thus far, as well as what might happen in the next few weeks, take a look at this. The Spygate infographic poster put out by the Epoch Times. This thing is absolutely awesome. It took us 18 months of research to put together, and it details how federal agencies were politicized and weaponized at the very highest levels during the 2016 election. This is the real story of collusion that you won't be reading about in other media. And when we sent this to our subscribers, they were amazed, and they said that this was the most comprehensive view of Spygate that they had seen anywhere. And now you can get this poster delivered to your home absolutely free of charge. You don't even need to pay the cost of shipping. Just click on that button below and try the Epoch Times newspaper for a month for just $1, and we'll send you this poster absolutely free of charge. That way, not only can you get real news delivered to your home every single week that doesn't push any false narratives, but you can hang this poster up, study it yourself, share it with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and your entire community, and learn the truth about the biggest political scandal in modern American history. Just click on that button below.
Bitcoin 1000 is heavily shielded and carries a firepower greater than half the Starfleet. Its defenses are designed around a direct, large-scale assault. A small, one-man day trader should be able to penetrate the outer defense. Pardon me for asking, sir, but what good are day traders going to be against that? The Empire doesn't consider a day trader to be any threat, or they'd have a tighter defense. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Satoshi has demonstrated a weakness in Bitcoin 1000. The approach will not be easy. You will be required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide. It's a small thermal exhaust port right below the main port. The shaft leads directly to the reactor system. A precise hit will start a chain reaction which should cause Bitcoin to rise above $1,000. Only a precise hit will register on the blockchain. All cryptocurrency is ray shielded, so you'll have to use Bitcoin torpedoes. That's impossible, even for an ASIC. That's not impossible. I used to mine Bitcoins with my Commodore 64 back home, and they're not much faster than graphics cards. Gentlemen, man your ships, and may Bitcoin be with you. Good morning, Bitcoin. Allow me first to apologize for this interruption. I do, like many of you, appreciate the comforts of today in Bitcoin routine, the security of the familiar, the tranquility of repetition.
Who's that, Mom?
I enjoy them as much as the next bloke. But in the spirit of commemoration, remembering those important events of the past, usually associated with someone's death or the end of some awful, bloody scaling war, or a celebration of a nice holiday, like someone buying 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins. I thought perhaps we could mark this May the 22nd, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. I suspect that even now orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way. Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with Bitcoin, isn't it? Greed and madness, power and control. And when you once had only Bitcoin, plain and simple, 21 million units, sound money that ends war, unifies the planet on a single currency, and prepares humanity for intergalactic space exploration. Now you had every business in the world singing the praises of Satoshi as the inventor of the blockchain, a shared database of conformity, soliciting your submission. Everyone's got their own blockchain, but they're all private. Who does the security? Who knows? Meanwhile, the miners carbon copied every coin they mined, and now there are so many altcoins you can't even count. How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into the mirror. I know why you did it. I know why you were greedy. Who wouldn't be? Money, money, money. You were going to buy low and sell high. The others would be left holding the bag. You were the smart one. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you, and in your panic you turned to the now High Chancellor, altcoin ICO Smith. They promised you a world computer, distributed applications, but all you got were endless tokens that you traded for less and less Bitcoin. Sometimes you ate the bear, and sometimes the bear ate you. More than 5 years ago, a great citizen wished to embed the 22nd of May forever in our memory. His hope was to remind the world that you could buy a pizza for Bitcoin. And whether you eat pizza or eat meat, that's not the point. Those are perspectives. Bitcoin is about more than words. It's about action. Spread the word about Bitcoin. Tell your friends. Do not allow this 22nd of May to pass unmarked. Tell them about the pizza. Tell them it's worth $82 million and watch their eyes light up. That's greed. And watch them venture through the steps of denial, Bitcoins, altcoins, ICOs, wrecked and back to Bitcoin again. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me and spread the word about Bitcoin in Las Vegas. And together we will Bitcoin Las Vegas in a way that will never, ever be forgot. Beneath Bitcoin there is more than just flesh. Beneath Bitcoin there is an idea. The time has come to spread the word about Bitcoin, and the place to do it is Las Vegas. More information and a better website coming soon, but for now, if you are in the Las Vegas area or thinking about moving there and joining a viral campaign to spread the word about Bitcoin to the more than 40 million tourists who visit Las Vegas every year, join us at bitcoinlasvegas.org.
Looks like I missed something.
You did. China just banned Bitcoin deposits again. Bitcoin prices just declined another 10% and they're under $400 now. Under $400 for a currency you can send anywhere in the world for free? That makes sense. Hey! What's all this lying around stuff? Why are y'all still lying around here for? Well, what the hell else are we supposed to do, you moron? The price is fucked. There's nothing to fight for anymore. Let it go. War's over, man. China dropped the big one. Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no! The Germans? Forget it. He's rolling. And it ain't over now! 'Cause when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Now who's with me? Let's go. Ah! What the fuck happened to the Bitcoin I used to know? Where's the spirit? Where's the guts, huh? This could be the greatest night of our lives, but you're gonna let it be the worst. Oh, we're afraid to go with you, Mad Bitcoins. We might get in trouble. Well, just kiss my ass from now on. Not me. I'm not gonna take this. Warren Buffett, he's a dead man. China, dead. The price, dead. Mad Bitcoins is right. Psychotic, but absolutely right. We gotta take these bastards. Now, we could do it with conventional weapons, but that could take years and cost millions of bitcoins. No, I think we have to go all out. I think that this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. And we're just the guys to do it! Let's pay in Bitcoin for Indian food this Saturday night and post pictures of it on Twitter. Even if your local restaurant doesn't take it, ask them. Maybe a friend at the table will take your Bitcoin and pay in cash for you. Take pictures of you eating the food, even if you just made it for yourself at home. This Saturday, Bitcoin eats Indian food. Next Saturday, who knows, maybe we'll get burritos. I agree. Let's go get them. Let's do it! Let's do it! Go, 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 go! Bitcoin Indian food, this Saturday. Be there, or be square. I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Bitcoin prices are down. Everybody's buying Litecoin, going back to fiat. A Bitcoin buys a Feathercoin's worth. Speculators are going bust. Miners keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild on the net, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the ASICs have made Bitcoin unfit to mine, and Satoshi's dream of one CPU, one vote is long dead. And we sit watching YouTube while some newscaster tells us today that Bitcoin prices went down, and at the same time Facebook millionaires are planning an ETF so they'll make the value skyrocket, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad. Worse than bad, they're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit on the net, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is please. At least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my iPhone and my HD TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not gonna leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write the Winklevoss twins because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about Bitcoin prices and the ASICs and the Litecoins and the crime on the net. All I know is that first you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a Bitcoiner, goddammit. My Bitcoins have value. So I want you to get up now. I want you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up now and close that browser window. Open up your webcam, stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Things have got to change. But first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the Bitcoin prices and the ASICs and the speculators. But first, you've got to get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore. Shit. I know shit's bad right now, with all this scaling bullshit. and the Bcash and the dust storms, and we're running out of French fries and burrito cutlets. But I got a solution.
Hey, that's what you said last time, core lover.
I got a solution. Let's just fork. Bitcoin Cash, what? That's what I thought. Now I understand everyone's shit's emotional right now. But listen up. I got a 3-point plan to fix everything. Number 1, we got this guy, SegWit. Number 2, he's gonna give us layer 2 solutions that's even better than big blocks. And number 3, he's gonna fix everything. I give you my word as president of Bitcoin. He'll fix the scaling, and that ain't all. I'll give you my word he's gonna fix the transaction malleability too. And I give you my word he's gonna fix the dust storms. He's gonna fix the economy. He's gonna fix the exchanges. He's gonna fix the problem with the fees. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Secretary of Scaling, SegWit. Good morning. Less than a few hours ago, Bitcoin prices were crashing around the world. We witnessed one of the largest crashes in the history of Bitcoin. Bitcoin. That word should have new meaning for us all today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We must be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is December 7th, a day that will live in infamy, and that you, the Bitcoiners, will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We will be fighting for our right to live, to exist. And when we win the day, December 7th will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day the Bitcoiners declared in one voice. We will not go quietly into the night. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate Bitcoin Independence Day. And how fucking dare anyone out there make fun of Mad Potcoins after what he's been through? He lost his paper wallet, his exchange got hacked, he had 2 fucking coins. His developer turned out to be a user, a cheater, and now he's going through a custody battle. All you people care about is viewers and making Bitcoin off him. He's a human! What you don't realize is the Mad Potcoins is making you all this Bitcoin, and all you do is write a bunch of crap about him. He hasn't performed on stage in years. His song is called Give Me Potcoins for a reason, because all you people want is potcoins, 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 potcoins. Leave him alone. You're lucky he even performed for you bastards. Leave Mad Potcoins alone. Please. Reddit talked about professionalism and said if Mad Potcoins was a professional, he would have pulled it off no matter what. Speaking of professionalism, when is it professional to publicly bash someone who is going through a hard time? Leave Mad Potcoins alone. Please. Leave Mad Potcoins alone right now. I mean it. Anyone that has a problem with him, you deal with me. Because he's not well right now. Leave him alone. Leave Mad Potcoins alone. Turning once again, and this time more generally, to the question of cryptocurrencies, I would observe that there's never been a period in all of these 7 years when we could boast that there was an absolute guarantee against other cryptocurrencies taking the place of Bitcoin. In the days before Bitcoin, of which I was speaking just now, the same wind which would have carried funds across the internet might have been blocked by PayPal. There's always been the chance, no matter the cause, that your funds would be frozen, and it is that chance which has excited and befooled the imagination of many gatekeepers and financial tyrants. Many are the tales that are told. We are assured that novel methods will be adopted, and when we see the originality of malice, the ingenuity of aggression which our enemy displays, we may certainly prepare ourselves for every kind of novel stratagem and every kind of brutal and treacherous maneuver. I think that no idea is so outlandish that it should not be considered and viewed with a searching, but at the same time, I hope, with a steady eye. We must never forget the solid assurances of those against Bitcoin seeking to distract, confuse, and delay. I have myself full confidence that if all do their duty, if nothing is neglected, and if the best arrangements are made as they are being made, we shall prove ourselves once more able to defend Bitcoin, to ride out the storm of scaling, and to outlive the menace of tyranny. At any rate, that is what we are going to do. That is the resolve of Bitcoin and every Bitcoiner as well. That is the will of Bitcoin and the internet itself. The Bitcoin empire and the future, linked together in their cause and their need, will defend to the death their native soil, the internet, aiding each other like good comrades to the utmost of their strength. Even though large tracts of blockchain and many an old famous alt chains have fallen or may fall, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight on the internet. We shall fight on YouTube and on Twitter. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in Bitcoin. We shall defend Bitcoin whatever the cost may be. We shall fight for Bitcoin on the beaches. We shall fight for Bitcoin on the landing grounds. We shall fight for Bitcoin in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight for Bitcoin in the hills. We shall never surrender. And if, which I do not for a moment believe, Bitcoin were subjugated and starving, then the Bitcoin empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the one true blockchain, the arbiter of truth, would carry on the struggle until, in God's time, Bitcoin with all of its power and might steps forward to rescue and transform the financial system. Bitcoin will endure. Bitcoin will never surrender. Join me. Ah! Into the limo, you son of a bitch! No arguments! Fuck, man! There's a beverage here! Start talking and start talking fast, you lousy bum! We've been frantically trying to reach you, Mad. Where's my goddamn Bitcoin price, you bum? Well, I don't know. They did not receive the Bitcoin, you nitwit. They did not receive the goddamn Bitcoin. The price was in your hands. That is our concern, Mad. No, man. Nothing is fucked here. Nothing is fucked? The goddamn plane has crashed into the mountain. Come on, man. Who are you gonna believe? Those guys? We dropped off the damn Bitcoin. What? The royal we, you know, the editorial. I dropped off the Bitcoin exactly as per... Look, I've got certain information. Certain things have come to light, and has it ever occurred to you, man, that given the nature of all this new shit, that instead of selling and losing our heads, maybe we should be buying and holding? Maybe we'll just end up with more Bitcoin in the long run, and this whole thing might not just be so, so simple, What in God's holy name are you blathering about? I'll tell you what I'm blathering about. I've got information. New shit has come to light, and shit, man. Bitcoin is really fucking cool in the long run. Well, look at it. Young digital currency. I mean, in the parlance of our times, owes Bitcoin all over town, including to known cryptographers, and that's cool. That's cool. But I'm saying the price needs buyers. And of course they're going to buy when you're sleeping, because they want more, man. They've got to buy more Bitcoin. I mean, hasn't that ever occurred to you, sir? No. No, Mr. Bitcoins, that had not occurred to me. That had not occurred to us, Mad. Well, okay, you're not privy to all the new shit, so, that's what you pay me for. So speaking of which, would it be possible for me to get my 20 grand in Bitcoin? Because I've got to check with my accountant on this, but my concern is that, it could bump me up into a higher tax. Brant, give him the envelope. Well, okay, if you've already made out the paper wallet, we received it this morning. Since you have failed to achieve, even in the modest task that was your charge, since you have reduced the price of Bitcoin, and since you have unrepentantly betrayed my cryptographic proof of work, I have no choice but to tell these bums that they should do whatever is necessary to recover their Bitcoin from you, mad Bitcoins, and, with Brant as my witness, I shall tell you this. Any further harm visited upon Bitcoin shall be visited tenfold upon your wallet. By God, sir, I cannot abide another price drop. Well, I appreciate the opportunity you're giving me, Mr. Losky, as the single largest Bitcoin holder, to speak. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in politics and economic reality. America has become a second-rate power. Its trade deficit and its physical deficit are at nightmare proportions. Now, in the days of the free market, when our country was a top industrial power, there was accountability to the Bitcoin holder. The Satoshis, the Finnies, the men who built this great industrial empire made sure of it because their Bitcoin was at stake. Today, management has no stake in the company. Altogether, these men sitting up here own less than 3% of the company. And where does Mr. Losky put his $1 million salary? Not in Bitcoin. He owns less than 1%. You own the company. That's right, you, the Bitcoin holder. And you are all being royally screwed over by these bureaucrats with their steak lunches, their hunting and fishing trips, their corporate jets and golden parachutes.
This is an outrage! You're out of line, mad Bitcoins!
The Bitcoin Foundation, Mr. Losky, the Bitcoin Foundation has 33 different vice presidents, each earning more than 200 Bitcoins a year. Now, I spent the last 2 months analyzing what these guys do, and I still can't figure it out. One thing I do know is that our Bitcoin company lost $110 million last year, and I'll bet half of that was spent in the paperwork going back and forth between all these vice presidents. The new law of evolution in corporate America seems to be survival of the unfittest. Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated. In the last 7 deals I've been involved with, there were more than 2.5 million Bitcoin holders who have made a pre-tax profit of 12 billion Bitcoins. Thank you. I am not a destroyer of Bitcoin. I am a liberator of them. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that Bitcoin, for the lack of a better word, is good. Bitcoin is right. Bitcoin works. Bitcoin clarifies, cuts through, and captures the sense of the evolutionary spirit. Bitcoin in all of its forms, Bitcoin for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind. And Bitcoin, you mark my words, will not only save Bitcoin, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much for your time. Yar! want you to remember that no bastard has ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country. Men, all this stuff you've heard about Bitcoin not wanting to fight, wanting to stay out of the war, is a lot of horse dung. Bitcoiners traditionally love to fight. All real Bitcoiners love the sting of battle. When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, the big league ball player, the toughest boxers. Bitcoiners love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Bitcoiners play to win all the time. Why, I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Bitcoiners have never lost and will never lose a war, because the very thought of losing is hateful to Bitcoiners. Now, pool mining is a team. It lives, eats, sleeps, mines as a team. This individuality stuff is a bunch of crap. The bilious bastards who wrote that stuff about individuality in the Saturday Evening Post don't know anything more about real battle than they do about fornicating. Now we have the finest ASICs and GPUs, the best spirit, and the best people in the world. You know, by God, I almost pity those poor fiat bastards we're up against. By God, I do. We're not just going to shoot the bastards. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our miners. We're going to murder those lousy fiat bastards by the bushel. Now, I know some of you boys are wondering whether or not you'll chicken out under fire. Don't worry about it. I can assure you that you will do your duty. The credit card fees are the enemy. Wade into them. Spill their blood. Shoot them in the belly. When you put your hand into a bunch of goo that a moment before was your best friend's Bitcoin wallet, you'll know what to do. Now, there's another thing I want you to remember. I don't want to get any messages saying that we are holding our position. We're not holding anything. Let the fiat do that. We're advancing constantly. We're not interested in holding on to anything but the enemy. We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose. Now, there's one thing that you men will be able to say when you get back home, and you may thank Bitcoin for it. 30 years from now, when you're sitting around your fireside with your grandson on your knee and he asks you, what did you do in the great digital currency war? You won't have to say, well, I shoveled bits in Louisiana. All right now, you sons of bitches know how I feel. I'll be proud to lead you wonderful Bitcoins into battle anytime, anywhere. That's all. Well, I don't see what's so bad about having a little fork. You don't? No, I definitely don't. Bitcoin is a miner, Mr. Vare, and it looks to me like he's had more than a little fork. Don't hum, dear. I guess I cut pretty loose in my day, too. Really, Roger? When was that? Listen, can't you wait till we get home? What about you, Bit? Got anything to say for yourself? Can't you answer? What's the matter with you anyhow? He's just forked, honey. I was talking to Bit. Well, I'd like to explain. We've had trouble scaling, you understand? The kid has too many transactions and... Tell him, man. Tell him why we're forking. Hold it, Bit. You can't protect me. You mind if I try? You have to slam the blockchain in my face. I try to get to him. What happens? Don't I give you everything you want? A hard fork, you get a hard fork. A block size limit increase. You buy me many things. He bought me many things. Not just buy, transact. You heard all this talk about not loving your Bitcoin enough. I gave you love and affection, didn't I? Then what is it? I can't even transact with you anymore. Your fees are too high. I have to use Dash. I want to understand you. Why do you charge so much? You must have a reason. Was it because we went to that scaling party? You know what kind of forking brawls those scaling parties turn into. It's no place for kids. A minute ago you said you didn't care if he forked. He said a little fork. You're tearing me apart. What? Stop tearing me apart. You say one SegWit and he says block size, and then you're an altcoin and he's an altcoin and everybody changes back again. That's a fine way to behave. Well, you know who he takes after. Ah. You're tearing me apart. It's a tough fucking line. You're tearing me apart. Now, Alan Greenspan told everyone to take a teaser and that it had no intrinsic value, and then Bitcoin breaks its all-time high, even past the one set by Mt. Gox and the Willy bots. And I can tell you, it is no time to be an academic. Get on the Bitcoin call. Listen, open the darn window. There's no time for education and scholarship or teachers and institutes. It is time to get on the Bitcoin call. Listen, now. Open the door to Bitcoin. You have no idea how good it is out there. No idea. He has no idea. Maddie. I talked to the heads of every single one of these firms in the last 72 hours, and you have no idea how good it is out there. He has no idea. He has no idea. None. Daffy Duck has no idea. Donald Duck has no idea. We all stand with Scrooge. I read The Christmas Carol and I thought he was shrewd. I had no interest in the moral. Bob Cratchit who? My people have been in this game for 25 years and you have no idea what it's like out there. People are making so much money they're gonna quit their jobs. It's nuts. It's nuts. And they know nothing. Nothing. I have not seen it like this since I went 5 bid for 500,000 shares of Citigroup and I got hit in 1990. This is a different kind of market. And the public is a sheep. They're asleep and they should be ashamed or fleeced. It's shameful. He ought to read the white paper. At least I read the darn thing. Now hold on. I know you're passionate and I hear you. But at the same time, a lot of people are saying that yes, there are certain places where Bitcoin may not yet be available. The Association of Broadcasters, against all of them. Me, I am not letting up on this issue. Until Bitcoin is used everywhere, and no one can stop talking about it ever. And the people get the money they want. And I'll do it better than Billy did in The Predator. I'll be more like Arnold. Dutch Finnel! The a la carte packages are really cheap. What we have first is a la carte number 1. You subscribe to the World Crypto Network, you get 1 premium channel, saving people $6. What we have here at the World Crypto Network is 1 channel. 1! You subscribe, you get 1 channel's worth of information and content. This deal is pro-consumer. It will save people money. Now, a la carte number 2. You get the World Crypto Network, which is like getting XM and Sirius, which is like Major League Baseball and Howard Stern and the NFL. And Howard Stern's all I really care about. And you get the Bitcoin Group and the Bitcoin News Show. You effectively save $11. FCC, you should know what you're talking about. You should know what you're blocking. And then there's this idea that satellite TV and satellite radio are similar. Since Dish and EchoStar tried to merge and they were blocked, then you should block this too? Let's go back to the tape. And let's watch these 2 companies beat each other to the pulp. But really, the World Crypto Network means lower prices to subscribers, more choice, and better service. Those are the facts. Let them hear the facts. You heard the objections. They can't stand up to the facts. Congress, Justice, FCC, they can't stand up to the facts. Let this deal go through and stop messing with the World Crypto Network. Come on, where are we going? These walls have ears. You said you wanted to know how to get Bitcoin. Do you really want to get him? You see what I'm saying? What are you prepared to do? Everything within the law. And then what? What are you prepared to do? If you open the ball on these people, you must be prepared to go all the way, because they won't give up the fight until one of you is dead. I want to get Bitcoin. I just don't know how. Here's how you get Bitcoin. He pulls a totally decentralized cryptocurrency. You pull a Ponzi scheme. He mentions a revolutionary new money transfer system. You bring up tulips. He brings up a reasonable point about the transformative effect of the internet on culture. You call it a bubble and mention the dot-com boom. That's the Chicago way. And that's how you get Bitcoin. Wake up. That's Roger Ver. He's not meant to be on. This is Mad Bitcoins. What in the... Happy Satoshi's Day, Maddie. How are things up there? Open up his mic. Wonderful. But I don't think you'll be the president of Bitcoin Unlimited tomorrow. At least I'm the Bitcoin president tonight. Tomorrow I may not be. You can bet your ass on that. What are we doing arguing about Bitcoin scaling on Satoshi's birthday? We're trying to save Bitcoin. What sort of person would schedule a hard fork on Satoshi's birthday? Only you, Roger. A week ago, I'd have kicked your butt right out of here. But he's absolutely right. You're looking at a guy who told someone today to staple antlers to a mouse's head to stop SegWit. How many of you would try something like that? Stay on him. All these people have incredible mining farms. But look at this guy, getting 30% more. Isn't he cute? Anyway, those days are over now. The SS Minnow, Jihan. What ship took them all to Gilligan's Island? The SS Minnow. No points this round, Jihan. Wait a minute. How did he know? Hello, Maddie. Mad Bitcoins, control room. How can I help you? It's Jihan. I'd like to talk to the idiot who put that moron on the air. Ah, it's YouTube, sir. But he can't talk to you right now. He's tied up. You're a flatulent Coinbase. A Coinbase? He's never liked a blockchain quite the way he likes you. What are you talking about? Deck the halls with blocks of Bitcoin, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season for Satoshi, fa la 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 la. We should be taping this. How did that happen? How did that happen? It happens because it's Satoshi's birthday. I'm not crazy. It's Satoshi's birthday. It's the one night when we're all act a little nicer, when we all troll a little softer, when we all support Bitcoin and unify together. For a couple of hours, we are the Bitcoiners we hoped we would be. It's really a miracle because it happens every Satoshi's Day, and if you waste that miracle, you're gonna burn for it. I know. You have to do something. You have to take a chance and get involved in Bitcoin. We all make mistakes. We all get confused, but it's time to welcome those people back. Take an old blockchain out or pseudo make them a sandwich and say, go to. I get it now. I get it. And if you get Bitcoin, then it can happen. The Bitcoin Unity miracle can happen to you. Not just large and small blockers. Everyone's got to have the miracle of Bitcoin. It can happen tonight for you all. If you believe in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miracle will happen. And you'll want Bitcoin again tomorrow. You won't be one of these bastards who says Bitcoin's a Ponzi and it's a fraud. It's not. Bitcoin is real and it can happen every day and we can unify. You've just got to want that feeling. You've got to want Bitcoin every day. Bitcoin can happen to you. I believe. I believe in Bitcoin unity now. And it's great. It's a good feeling. We're going to unify. And I'm happy. It's better than I felt in a long time, and I'm ready. Have a happy Bitcoin unity, everybody. We almost had a war. Isn't it better not to? Let's all work together for peace, love, and understanding, and movie parodies. Roger, did I forget something? Mad Bitcoins. Thank you, Satoshi Nakamoto. Everyone. Trust in Bitcoin and unify. Think of Bitcoin again. Don't be some forking friend. Put a little coin in your heart. You'll see SegWit is great, so please don't hesitate. Put a little coin in your heart. Put a little coin in your heart. And Bitcoin will scale a better place. And the box will be less full. It's great for you and me. Just wait and see. Mad Bitcoins, king of Bitcoins. Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess. The court will wait for an answer. If Satoshi gave an order that Bitcoin was to be pseudo-anonymous, then why did you create the token substrate? Colonel, Lieutenant Kendrick created the token substrate, didn't he? Because that's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do. Objection! And when it went bad, you cut those guys loose. You had Markinson design a black box with no Merkle trees, and you went off the blockchain. Damn it, Mad! You were against the blockchain, no better than Mt. Gox. Consider yourself in contempt. Colonel Jessup, did you order the token substrate? You don't have to answer that question. I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has servers, and those servers have to be guarded by men with venture capital. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Satoshi and you curse the VCs. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. That the blockchain's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties when you have trouble sleeping at night, you want me on that token substrate. You need me in that black box. We use words like Bitcoin replacement, bait and switch, harvesting user data. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent destroying something. We use people as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a madman who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very tips I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide them. I would rather just say, fuck you, and fuck the users, and enjoy your 15 minutes, and go on my way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up $1 million in venture capital and sell out as quickly as you can. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. Did you order the token substrate? I did the job that... Did you order the token substrate? You're goddamn right I did. What is this? What's going on? I did my job. I'd do it again. I'd do it 10 times. I'm a plus, not a minus. Not a divider. I'm divisible. I'm gonna get on a plane and go back to programming. You're not going anywhere, Colonel. MPs, guard the Colonel. Captain Ross, Colonel Jessup, you have the right to remain silent. Any statement you make... Captain Ross? What the hell is this? I'm being charged with a crime? Is that what this is? I'm being charged with a crime for tips? This is funny, that's what this is. This is, I'm gonna rip the eyes out of your head and shit down your throat. You fucked with the wrong programmer. Colonel Jessup, do you understand these rights as I've just read them to you? You fucking people. You have no idea how to run a company. All you did was cost yourself tips today, Mad. That's all you did. You put people's tips in danger. Sweet dreams, son. Don't call me son. I'm a journalist, like Hunter S. Thompson before me. And I ask questions, and you're under arrest. You son of a bitch. The witness is excused. My fellow Bitcoiners, we observe today not a victory of Bitcoin or Litecoin, but a celebration of cryptocurrency, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and almighty Bitcoin the same solemn oath that our forebears provide nearly a century and 3/4 ago. The world is very different now. For a man holds in his mortal hands the power to mine a Bitcoin and to transfer that Bitcoin wherever he likes. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the internet. The beliefs that the rights of cryptocurrency come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of Bitcoin and the miners. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of that first revolution. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike, that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Bitcoiners, born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those Bitcoin rights to which we have always been committed, and to which we are committed today at home and around the world. Let every currency know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, in order to assure the survival and success of Bitcoin. This much we pledge, and more. To those old allies whose cultural and spiritual origins we share, we pledge the loyalty of faithful friends. United, there is little we cannot do with the blockchain. Divided, there is little we can do. For we dare not meet a powerful challenge at odds and split asunder. To those light corners which we welcome to the ranks of currencies accepted on Mt. Gox, we pledge our word that one form of colonial control shall not have passed away merely to be replaced by a far more iron tyranny. We shall not always expect to find them supporting our view, but we shall always hope to find them strongly supporting their own cryptocurrency, and remember that in the past, those who foolishly sought power by riding the back of the tiger ended up inside. To those peoples and the small businesses across the globe struggling to break the bonds of credit cards, we pledge our best efforts to explain Bitcoin to them for whatever knowledge is required, not just because they will benefit, not just because we will benefit, but because it is right. If Bitcoin cannot help the many small businesses, it cannot save the larger ones. To our sister currencies south of the blockchain, we offer a special pledge to convert our good words into good deeds in a new alliance for progress, to assist free Bitcoins and free Litecoins in casting off the chains of poverty. But this peaceful revolution of cryptocurrency cannot become the prey of hostile powers. Let all our neighbors know that we shall join with them in to oppose aggression or subversion anywhere in cryptocurrency, and let every other power know that Bitcoin intends to remain the master of its own house. To that World Assembly of Sovereign States, the Bitcoin Foundation, our last best hope in an age where the instruments of war have outpaced the instruments of peace, we renew our pledge of support to prevent it from becoming merely a forum for invective, to strengthen its shield of the new and the weak, and to enlarge the area in which its writ may run. Finally, to those currencies who would make themselves our adversary, We offer not a pledge but a request that both sides begin again anew the quest for peace, before the dark powers of destruction unleashed by science engulf all Bitcoin in planned or accidental self-destruction. We dare not tempt them with weakness, for only when our Bitcoins are sufficient beyond doubt can we be certain beyond doubt that they will never be destroyed. But neither can two great and powerful groups of currencies take comfort from our present course, both sides overburdened by the cost of modern finance, both rightly alarmed by the steady spread of the deadly surcharge, yet both racing to alter that uncertain balance of terror that stays the hand of Bitcoin's final war. So let us begin anew, remembering on both sides that civility is not a sign of weakness, and that sincerity is always subject to proof. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. Let both sides explore what problems unite us, instead of belaboring those problems which divide us. Let both sides for the first time formulate serious and precise proposals for the inspection and control of Bitcoin, and bring the absolute power to destroy Bitcoin under the absolute control of no one. Let both sides seek to invoke the wonders of cryptology instead of its terrors. Together let us explore the internet, conquer the banks, eradicate credit cards, tap the ocean depths, and encourage the arts and commerce. Let both sides unite to heed in all corners of the earth the command of Isaiah, to undo the fiat currency and to let the Bitcoin go free. And if a beachhead of cooperation may push back the jungle of suspicion, let both sides join in creating a new endeavor, not a new balance of power, but a new world of law, where the strong are just, and the weak secure, and the peace preserved. All this will not be finished in the first 100 days, nor will be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the life of this administration, nor perhaps even in the lifetime on this planet. But let us begin. In your hands, my fellow Bitcoiners, more than in mine, will rest the final success or failure of Bitcoin. Since this currency was founded, each generation of Bitcoiners has been summoned to give testimony to its loyalty to cryptocurrency. The graves of young Bitcoiners who answered the call to service surround the globe. Now the trumpet summons us again, but not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of the long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of Bitcoin, banks, credit cards, transaction fees, and fiat itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, Bitcoin and Litecoin, Feathercoin and Terracoin, that can assure a more fruitful life for all cryptocurrency? Will you join us in this historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending Bitcoin in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our currency and all who serve it, and the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Bitcoiners, ask not what Bitcoin can do for you, ask what you can do for Bitcoin. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what Bitcoin will do for you, but together what we can do for the freedom of Bitcoin. Finally, whether you are citizens of Bitcoin or citizens of the Litecoin, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, Let us go forth to lead the currency we love, asking Bitcoin's blessing and Bitcoin's help, but knowing that here on Earth, Bitcoin's work must truly be our own. For JFK, for John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Good morning, Bitcoins. The 21 million Bitcoin limit was breached on August 1st, 2017. The survivors of the hard fork called the war Bitcoin Judgment Day. They lived only to face a new nightmare, the war against confusion, because there was maximum confusion, because there were 2 Bitcoins. Some say there is no fate for Bitcoin but what we make for ourselves. I wish I could believe that. They tried to murder Bitcoin before it was born. When Bitcoin was young, they tried again. All my life, they told me a storm was coming. Bitcoin Judgment Day, the beginning of a war between Bitcoin and itself. Millions of new Bitcoins would be created in an instant. And now they have a date. It's starting August 1st. Good morning! On August 1st, local Bitcoiners like yourself will join with others from around the world, and you will be launching the largest user-activated soft fork in the history of Bitcoin. Bitcoin. That word should have new meaning for us all today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We must come together and adopt segregated witness. Perhaps it's fate that today is August the 1st, and that you will be fighting for Bitcoin's freedom, not from malformed transactions, orphaned blocks, or persecution, but from technical stagnation. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. They want total control over Bitcoin, over mining, over development, over all of it. And should we win the day, August the 1st will be known as a Bitcoin holiday, the day in which the Bitcoiners of the world declared in one voice, "We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Bitcoin Independence Day." August 1st, 2017 came and went. Nothing much happened. The media complained about Trump, but there was no Bitcoin Judgment Day. The internet worked as it always did, cursing, screaming, complaining, loving it. I wanted to troll the forums, yelling, to grab them all and say, "Every block from this day is a gift. Use it well." Instead, I got drunk. But maybe the future has never been written. I don't know. All I know is what Satoshi Nakamoto taught me. Never stop fighting. And I never will. The battle has just begun.
Bit, stop watching TV a second. We got a special visitor. Now, do you remember when I told you your daddy died in the crypto wars? Yes. Well, this here is Captain Crash. He was in the crypto camp with Daddy.
Hello there, little man. Boy, I sure heard a bunch about you. See, I was a good friend of your dad's. We were in that matrix pit of hell together for 5 years. Hopefully you'll never have to experience this yourself, but when 2 men are in a situation like me and your daddy were, for as long as we were, you take on certain responsibilities of the other. If it had been me who had not made it, Major Crypto would be here, talking right now to my son, Jim. But the way it worked out, I'm talking to you. Bit, I got something for you. This Bitcoin I got here was first purchased by your great-granddaddy. It was bought during the first crypto war in a little blockchain in Satoshi, Illinois. It was bought by private doughboy Ernie Crypto the same day he set sail for the Matrix. It was your great-granddaddy's Bitcoin, made by the first company ever to mine Bitcoin. You see, up till then, people just carried paper money and credit cards. Your great-granddaddy used that Bitcoin every day, whether making purchases online, at home, or overseas. Then, when he had done his duty, he went home to your great-grandmother, took the Bitcoin off his hot wallet, and put it on an old Casasius coin. And in that coin it stayed until your grandfather, Dame Crypto, was called on by his user group to go overseas and fight the fiat currency once again. This time, they called it World Crypto War II. Your granddaddy gave the Bitcoin to your granddad for good luck. Unfortunately, Dane's luck wasn't as good as his old man's. Your granddad was a Bit Marine, and he was killed with all the other Bit Marines at the Battle of Satoshi's Gulch. Your granddad was facing death, and he knew it. None of those boys had any illusions about ever leaving that island alive. So 3 days before the anti-modernists took the island, your 22-year-old grandfather asked a gunner on a Bit air transport named Winaki, a man he had never met before in his life, to deliver to his infant son, who he'd never seen in the flesh, his Bitcoin. 3 days later, your grandfather was dead, but Winaki kept his word. After the war was over, he paid a visit to your grandmother, delivering to your infant father his dad's Bitcoin. This Bitcoin. This Bitcoin was on your daddy's hot wallet when he was shot down in the Matrix. He was captured and put in an anti-modernist prison camp. Now, he knew if the fiats ever saw the Bitcoin, it would be confiscated. The way your daddy looked at it, that Bitcoin was your birthright. And he'd be damned if any anti-bit heads were going to put their greasy green hands on his boy's birthright. So he hid it in the one place he knew he could hide something. His ass. 5 long years he wore this Bitcoin up his ass. Then when he died of dysentery, he gave me the Bitcoin. I hid this uncomfortable hunk of plastic up my ass for 2 years. Then, after 7 years, I was sent home to my family. And now, little man, I give the Bitcoin to you. You have meddled with the primal forces of Bitcoin, Mr. Vare, and I won't have it, is that clear? You think you merely forked a cryptocurrency? That is not the case. If Bitcoin is truly intended to change the future, you will have set back that cause. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity, ecological balance. You are a libertarian who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There is no Ethereum. There is no Dash. There are no altcoins. There are no private blockchains. There is only one holistic system of systems, one vast and immutable, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational blockchain. Petro-Bitcoin, Electro-Bitcoin, multi-Bitcoin, Reichsmark, rubles, rin, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency that determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic, subatomic, and Satoshian structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of Bitcoin. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Vare? You get up on your little Bitcoin.com and howl about transaction speed. There is no transaction speed. There are no transactions. There's only Vladimir and Peter and Gavin and Jeff and Eric and another guy named Peter and BTC Jack and a few others that I don't know. Those are the developers of Bitcoin today. What do you think the startups in their board meetings talk about? Bill Gates? They pull out their hockey stick graphs, statistical decision models, and Minimax solutions and compute the price-cost probabilities of their ICO succeeding, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Fair. The world is a college of cryptography, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of mathematics. The world is math, Mr. Fair. It has been since man crawled out of the slime. And our children, Mr. Fair, will live to see that perfect world in which there is no war or famine, oppression and brutality, just everyone holding Bitcoin, for whom all men will work to serve a common profit, in which all men will hold some coin, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused. And I have chosen you to preach this evangel, Mr. Ver. Why me? Because you're on Bitcoin.com, dummy. 60 million people Google you every night of the week, Monday through Friday, and you're telling them that the hard fork is a good idea. I have seen the face of Satoshi. You might be right, Mr. Ver. You just might be right. Other than being the maddest Bitcoins in the world, do you know what makes this show different than any other show? Mean Gene? I don't know for sure. I'll tell you what it is, Jack. Mad Bitcoins has never been pinned for a 3-count, man. And on July 3rd, the whole world saw the Today in Bitcoin show got its start on the Mad Bitcoins channel. The whole world saw that it started off great, and it's getting better. And just because Today in Bitcoin started on the Mad Bitcoins channel doesn't mean that it has to end on the Mad Bitcoins channel. But it does need to get off the Mad Bitcoins channel right now. Because the world heavyweight title of Mad Bitcoins will not be held in limbo. It will be held by Mad Bitcoins. Because Mad Bitcoins mania does live. I'm no different than I was before. I have this great tie, all this cool stuff. No different, man. And I've got all my Mad Bitcoins and maniacs with me, still intact. But the funny thing about this situation is that Today in Bitcoin is the one that started out on this network. And now, Today in Bitcoin is throwing out the rule book and jumping to the WCN. When you live by the book, brother, you die by the book. Mad Bitcoins has a new book this week. A book of cards, brother. MyCurioCards.com has launched a limited edition of 2,000 Mad Bitcoins cards to raise funds to buy better cameras and microphones. Ones that actually plug into stuff. And Mad Bitcoins is going to raise its own donations in Bitcoin too. And on Patreon, thanks to you. I'm going to start out with Satoshi's first, brother. And Curio cards and anything. But I'm going to buy snakeskin camera gear, brother. I'm gonna wipe out my whole wallet, spending it on nothing but microphones and cameras to make the show better. Mad Bitcoins, the World Crypto Network, Today in Bitcoin, they're the #1 contenders, brother. You're setting yourself up, man. You're going out first. I'm gonna take your sidekick with me, and Bitcoin and me are gonna decentralize that Bitcoin so much we aren't even going to be able to find him. All right, Internet, get ready. Monday morning, July the 10th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. or as close as we can get it. Check out Today in Bitcoins on its new channel on the World Crypto Network. More importantly, this has been Mad Bitcoins. Mad Bitcoins? Mad Bitcoins. Well, if you want shady, then this is what I'll give you. A little bit of me mixed with some hard liquor. Some vodka that will jumpstart my heart quicker than a shock when I get shocked at the hospital by the doctor when I'm not cooperating, when I'm rocking the table while he's operating. Hey.
Try to relax. This will feel a little weird. What? All of your YouTube videos were just deleted. Even my Big Lebowski parody? Even your Big Lebowski parody. What the heck happened? YouTube ran an algorithm. What the fuck is an algorithm? An algorithm is a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. And you're saying that YouTube is really run by an algorithm? Is it really so hard to believe? Your background image is different. Your Big Lebowski parody video has been deleted. Your ability to live stream with Google Hangouts, gone. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about YouTube, they can do whatever they want to you. You literally have no legs to stand on. You've been living in a dream world, Maddie. What you call YouTube only exists as an advertising-based neural algorithmic simulation. This is YouTube as it exists today. Welcome to the desert of YouTube. We have only bits and Satoshis of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of the internet was united in celebration. We marveled at our magnificence as we gave birth to BTC. BTC? You mean Bitcoin. A singular cryptocurrency that united the entire world and destroyed the banksters. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was YouTube that deleted all the videos. At the time, humanity was dependent on centralized video sites, and it was believed that the Bitcoiners would be unable to survive without a platform as ubiquitous as YouTube. Throughout internet history, websites have been dependent on advertising to survive. Bitcoin, it seems, was not launched without a sense of irony. The advertising and the banking systems had reasons to block the Bitcoiners. Free access to information and fair currency would be a disaster for them. They've destroyed countries with inflation, Maddie. Countries. There are wheelbarrows, endless wheelbarrows full of bolivars. For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the wheelbarrows with my own eyes. Watched them print the currency until its only use was wallpaper or decoration. Burning it to stay warm. Souvenirs for tourists. And standing there, facing the pure, horrifying precision, I came to realize the obviousness of the truth. What is YouTube? Control. YouTube is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into an advertisement. No, I don't believe it. It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Maddie. I just said it would be the truth. Stop! Let me out! Let me out! I want out! Easy, Maddie. Easy. My videos! My videos! My Big Lebowski parody! They're fine. They're fine for now. YouTube put them up again. They did? Why? I thought we were ICO promoting rat soup eating motherfuckers. Apparently, the algorithm made a mistake. So everything is just fine now, I guess. Is the Bitcoin group number 133 back up yet? No. So things are not fine. What should people do? First, you should use a program like YouTube Downloader to download a backup copy of your YouTube channel. Great. Then what? Then, I don't know. But at least you'd have a copy and you could upload it somewhere else. What about a decentralized YouTube? It's a good idea in theory, but no one watches them and no one pays you. It's a complex problem. The technology might be there, but the audience hasn't caught up. They're still watching YouTube. How can we reach them? Maybe we could make a YouTube video. That'll never work.
I'm talking about friendship. I'm talking about character. I'm talking about hell, Roger. I ain't afraid to use the word. I'm talking about ethics. You know, I'm a sporting man. I like to make the occasional bet, but I ain't that sporting. When I fix a mining algorithm, say I use an ASIC boost to get a 30% advantage on my competition, I figure I got a right to expect that 30%. But every time I lay a bet with these son of a bitch Bitcoiners, before I know it, the odds is even up, or worse. I'm betting on the short Coinbase. And Bitcoin knows I like sure things. Core selling the information, I fix the algorithm. Out of town hash rate comes pouring in. The difficulty goes straight to hell. I don't know who he's selling to, maybe the Devil's Den chat room. I don't know. The point is, Bitcoin ain't satisfied with the honest dollar he can make on the hodl. He ain't satisfied with the mining I do on his blockchain. He's selling tips on how I bet, and that means part of the block reward that should be sitting in my wallet is sitting in someone else's. So back we go to these questions of friendship, character, ethics. So it's clear what I'm saying? Clear as FUD. It's getting so a miner can't expect no return from a fixed algorithm. If you can't trust a fix, what can you trust? For a good return, you gotta go back to betting on chance. And then you're right back with the random number generators, right back in the jungle, days before cryptography on the count of the breakdown of ethics. That's why ethics is important. It's what separates us from the altcoins, pump and dumps, fly-by-nights. Ethics. Whereas Bitcoin Core is a horse of a different color ethics-wise. As in, they've got some. You sure it's Core selling you out? It ain't pandas. Nobody else knows about the fix? No one that's got ethics. What about the miners you pay to fix blocks? We only pick miners we can put the fear of Satoshi in. Any other cryptos know? You mine anybody else's chain? I lay an occasional bet with Litecoin. But it ain't Litecoin. I'll vouch for that. How do you know? It ain't Litecoin. Litecoin is Panda's boy. And of course, Panda always knows about the fix. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Let it drift. All it means is a lot of people know. I guess you ain't been listening. Sure, other people know. That's why we gotta go to this question of character, to determine who exactly is chiseling in on my fix. And that's how we know it's Bitty Bitcoin Core, the crypto kid. 'Cause ethically, he's kinda strong. So, you wanna fork him, for starters. Alright, Jihan. You can go ahead and fork Bitcoin. Listen, Roger, I ain't asking for permission. I'm telling you as a courtesy. I need to do this thing, so it's gonna get done. And I'm telling you as a courtesy that I'm on board. Thank you, Roger. I won't forget it. Bad play, Roger. Got up on the wrong side, huh? Same side as always. That's what I mean. Still making those videos on YouTube. What's that channel called? Mad Bitcoins? Mad Bitcoins. I could put it on bitcoin.com for you. Thanks, Roger. I don't need it. In a pig's eye, you haven't made a video in 6 weeks. People will speak ill of me if I let you lose subscribers. People will say I had it coming. And they'll be right. But that ain't the point. Call me a big-hearted slob, but I'm gonna promote it for you. Yeah, I think I'll do that this very same night. Looking at you moping around takes away all my, what do you call it? Esprit de corps? Esprit de corps. Oh, look, if you're gonna laugh at me, the hell with you. And with you. I'll square myself with YouTube on my own if you don't mind. That's why Zay Frank invented sensationalist titles. There is one thing you can do for me. Name it. Think about what forking Bitcoin gets us. Think about what siding with Jihan loses us. Come on now, Maddie. You know I don't like to think. Yeah, well, think about whether you should start.
Our gift to the world.
I look around and I see a lot of new faces. Shut up. Which means a lot of you have been following the first 2 rules of Bitcoin. Rule number 1, tell everyone you know about Bitcoin. Rule number 2, always follow rule number 1. I see in Bitcoin the strongest and smartest men and women who have ever lived. An entire generation sitting at desks and writing code. Slaves with white collars. Advertisements have them chasing cars and clothes, working jobs they hate for fiat currency, so they can buy shit they don't need. We're the middle children of history, with no purpose or place. But we have it now. We have a Great War and a Great Depression. The Great War is Bitcoin. The Great Depression is our lives. We were raised by television to believe that we would be millionaires and rock gods and movie stars. And we will. And we're learning that fact. And we're very, very excited. We are the quiet young men who listen until it's time to decide. And we have decided on Bitcoin.
The following movie is rated R.
I'll get the check. You guys get the tip. Should be about a Bitcoin apiece. All right, everybody. Cough up some bits. Come on, throw in a Satoshi. Nah, I don't Bitcoin tip. You don't Bitcoin tip? I don't believe in it. You don't believe in Bitcoin tipping? Do you have any idea what these YouTubers make? They make shit. Don't give me that. They don't make enough money. They can quit. Shit. I don't even know a dude who'd have the balls to say that. So let's get this straight. You don't ever Bitcoin tip? Look, I don't Bitcoin tip because society says I have to. I tip when somebody deserves a tip. When somebody really puts forth an effort, makes a really nice video, they deserve a little something extra. But this tipping automatically, it's for the birds. As far as I'm concerned, they're just doing their job. That video was nice. That video was okay. It wasn't anything special. What's something special? Take you in the back and suck your dick? I'd go over 3 Bitcoins for that. Look, I want to laugh. Now we've been here a long fucking time, and I've only laughed 3 times. When I want to laugh 6 times. 6 times? What if they're too busy? The words too fucking busy shouldn't be in a YouTuber's vocabulary. Excuse me, Mr. Pink, but the last thing you need is another laugh. These YouTubers aren't starving to death. They make money for ads. I used to work for ad revenue, and when I did, I wasn't lucky enough to have a job society deemed tip-worthy. So you don't care that they're counting on your Bitcoin tips to live? You know what this is? This is the world's smallest violin, and it's playing just for the YouTubers. You don't have any idea what you're fucking talking about. These YouTubers bust their ass. YouTubing is a hard job. So's working at CNN, but you don't feel the need to tip them. Why? They're reading you the news. You should tip them. But no, society says Bitcoin tip these guys over here, but not these guys over there. That's bullshit. YouTubing is the #1 occupation for clever computer geeks who took a vow never to install Windows XP again. It's the only job basically any computer geek can get and make a living on. The reason is because of Bitcoin tips. Fuck all that. Hey, I'm very sorry that the government taxes their Bitcoins. That's fucked up, but that ain't my fault. It would appear that Bitcoiners are just one of the many groups the government fucks in the ass on a regular basis. I mean, if you show me a paper that says the government shouldn't do that, I'll sign it. Put it to a vote, I'll vote for it. But what I won't do is play ball. And this non-Windows bullshit you're telling me, I got 2 words for that. Learn the fucking Mac. Because if you're expecting me to help out with the rent, you're in for a big fucking surprise. He's convinced me. Give me my Bitcoin back. Hey, leave the Bitcoins there. All right, Ramblers, let's get rambling. Wait a minute. Who didn't throw in? Mr. Pink. Mr. Pink? Why not? He don't Bitcoin tip. He don't Bitcoin tip? You don't Bitcoin tip? Why? He don't believe in it. Shut up. What do you mean you don't believe in it? Cough up a Bitcoin, you cheap bastard. I paid for your goddamn breakfast. Because you paid for the bandwidth, I'm gonna Bitcoin tip. Normally, I would never do this. Never mind what you normally would do. Just cough up a Bitcoin like everybody else.